Phoenix Nights. Chapter 4054. Gu Fei and the others directly boarded their flying boats and flew towards the central immortal realms. This caused everyone to be indescribably shocked. Wasn't this the same as walking into a trap? How could Gu Fei be so stupid? One must know that the Godly Blade Sect and Myriad World Sect were supreme sects in the central immortal realms. They had existed for countless years and had more than one heavenly immortal old ancestor. Gu Fei killed the genius Shi Shao of the Myriad World Sect. The Myriad World Sect would definitely avenge him. And although Hui Hu of the Godly Blade Sect wasn't killed by Gu Fei, but in front of everyone, Gu Fei sent Hui Hu flying with a single slap. This slap of Gu Fei not only caused Hui Hu's face to be swept to the ground, it was like a resounding slap to the face of the Godly Blade Sect. The Godly Blade Sect naturally wanted to find him for revenge. Even heavenly immortals would have a headache if they had to face two supreme powers in the central immortal realms at the same time, let alone Gu Fei, who was a human immortal. At this moment, the entire eastern region was shaken. Countless sect leaders and clan lords directly left their sects and rushed towards the central immortal realms. No one was willing to miss out on such a good show. Naturally, not everyone had the qualifications to enter the central immortal realms. Not only in the eastern region, even the northern, southern and western regions received the news. In an instant, the entire immortal martial realm was in an uproar. It has been many years since someone dared to challenge the supreme powers of the central immortal realms. In the eyes of the cultivators of the four great regions, the supreme powers of the central immortal realms were lofty existences that represented invincibility. There's actually someone who dares to antagonize those fellows from the central immortal realms. I truly want to see who has the guts to do so. In the western regions, an ancient voice rang out from an ancient palace on a divine mountain. In the northern region, a peerless fairy walked out of a divine city that floated above a boundless snowfield. How can I, Lin Yuxian, miss out on such a good show? The white-robed fairy directly transformed into a beam of sword light that soared up into the sky, instantly vanishing from this world. In the southern regions, in a vast mountain forest, an incomparably wild young man walked out. He was none other than the number one blade of the southern regions, Saber Maniac. Godly Blade Sect? Under my blade, you will only be a joke. Yi Shaokan stood at the peak of the mountain, gazing in the direction of the central immortal region. A violent aura emanated from his body, causing all the roars of beasts in the mountain range to disappear. Within a radius of 10,000 li, all the savage beasts trembled in fear. The southern region frenzied Saber's killing intent was too strong. He was like the reincarnation of a god of death. The number of experts and savage beasts that had died under his saber was innumerable. Those who had exchanged blows with the southern domain Saber Maniac were all dead. Not a single one of them survived. His saber was tyrannical to the extreme. Its killing intent soared to the sky. When the divine saber was unsheathed, it would not return until it saw blood. Yi Xiaoquan had long wanted to spar with the Godly Saber Sect, but he hadn't mastered the god-killing saber technique yet. Now, he had finally mastered it. At this moment, all the supreme experts in the immortal martial realm had their gazes on the central immortal realms. As for Gu Fei and the others, they were still leisurely flying towards the central immortal realms. There was everything on the flying boat, they weren't in a hurry at all. Just when Gu Fei and the others left the eastern region and entered the boundary between the eastern and central immortal region, a beam of divine light directly shot up into the skies, piercing through the air towards the flying boat. Boom! A deafening sound rang out. That beam of divine light directly exploded in the air. In the air, a faint layer of divine light appeared, enveloping the entire flying boat. What's going on? Everyone on the flying boat, other than Gu Fei, were all shocked. With regards to the defensive capabilities of this flying boat, Gu Fei was very confident. Even if a heavenly immortal, or even a golden immortal came, they wouldn't be able to break through the defensive formations of this flying boat. Boom! Another deafening sound rang out. Mo Xian and the others had already reacted. From the mountain ridges below, countless beams of divine light shot out, piercing through their flying boat. Every beam of divine light was like a supreme divine spear, incomparably powerful. Every beam of divine light erupted with the might of an earth immortal. If it was an ordinary immortal weapon, it would have long been blasted down from the sky. How is this possible? They actually can't break through the defenses of this flying boat? In the mountain ridges below, on a mountain peak, a white-haired old man stared in disbelief at the unceasing explosions of divine light in the sky. Even his voice was trembling. Boom! A beam of divine light shot out from a formation beside the old man, causing the entire mountain ridges to tremble. The divine light soared up into the sky, as though it was about to tear apart the heavens and earth. However, in the next instant, this beam of divine light exploded below the flying boat. Ordinary earth immortals wouldn't be able to block this divine light. However, the flying boat in the sky didn't even tremble. In other words, this divine light couldn't even shake the flying boat in the sky. On the mountain peak, cultivators unceasingly added immortal crystals into the killing formation. A terrifying energy was rapidly condensing within the killing formation. Grand Elder, let's retreat! A man rushed up from the foot of the mountain and said anxiously. Since the other party wasn't afraid of their attacks, the people on the flying boat would soon counterattack. Retreat? The old man was taken aback when he heard this. Just then, the flying boat in the sky came to a halt. Oh no! The Grand Elder was taken aback. In the next moment, a formation diagram suddenly appeared on the flying boat. Then, these formation diagrams suddenly lit up. Swoosh! Countless rays of divine light rushed out from the flying ship and descended from the sky. Each ray of divine light emitted a terrifying aura of destruction. Boom! Almost at the same time, countless killing formations on the mountains were hit by the divine lights that rushed out from the flying boat. Then, the mountains exploded in an instant. Countless cultivators didn't even have the chance to scream before they were torn into pieces by the exploding destructive energy. Boom! The killing formation beside the Great Elder also exploded. An irresistible and terrifying force directly swept the Great Elder and another expert into the air. Buzz! A ball of divine light emerged from the Grand Elder's body and enveloped him. Divine light emerged from the other expert's body as well. But in the next moment, the protective immortal weapon on the expert's body shattered. The expert didn't even have time to scream before he was torn into pieces by the vast destructive energy. The immortal weapon on the expert's body also shattered and turned into scrap metal. Damn it, my flying celestial sect has been tricked! The Grand Elder roared in sorrow. At this moment, the sound of something shattering came from his body. The protective divine light around him suddenly dimmed. The Grand Elder of the flying celestial sect was scared out of his wits. In the next moment, balls of divine light emerged from his body. He activated all the protective immortal weapons on his body and quickly retreated. The Great Elder fled, but at this moment, his heart was bleeding, because other than him, there was actually no one else who could survive. Chapter 4055. The soaring immortal sect's first elder was truly unlucky this time. Someone had found him and asked him to destroy a flying vessel in the sky with the price of an immortal herb. Immortal herbs were incomparably precious. They were rare even in the central immortal realm. The soaring immortal sect's first elder felt that it was a good deal to make a move for an immortal herb. However, he had never imagined that the person he was dealing with was so powerful that he could kill all of them with a single move. This time, the first elder had brought nearly half of the soaring immortal sect's fighting strength. In other words, Gu Fei had killed nearly half of the soaring immortal sect's disciples and successors. This was an unbearable loss for a sect. The soaring immortal sect's first elder didn't even have time to vomit blood before he was grabbed by a giant hand that descended from the sky and hauled him onto the flying vessel. The huge hand threw the flying immortal sect's great elder onto the deck, almost breaking all the bones in the great elder's body. The first elder endured the pain and stood up. He saw a black-robed youth sitting on a rattan chair in front of him. Beside him stood two women and a man. One of the women was dressed in black and exuded an irresistible charm. The other was dressed in clothes whiter than snow, like a supreme empress descending from the heavens. The man was a familiar face, Sword Immortal Clearwind. The soaring immortal sect's first elder, Mokoshin? Sword Immortal Qingfeng was also surprised to see the Grand Elder. What are you doing here, Taoist Clearwind? The soaring immortal sect's first elder looked at Sword Immortal Clearwind in shock. My master is heading to the central immortal realm, Sword Immortal Clearwind said calmly. Sword Immortal Qifeng asked in a calm voice. With his cultivation base, he would normally have to greet the Grand Elder as a junior. However, the soaring immortal sect's first elder was currently a prisoner. Your master? Mokoshin was shocked to hear this. His gaze fell on the black-robed youth lazily eating fruit, no, immortal fruit, on the rattan chair. He was shocked to discover that he couldn't see through this black-robed youth's cultivation. This is my master. Sword Immortal Clearwind introduced him to Mokoshin. Sword Immortal Clearwind was a renowned figure in the eastern region. This youth was his master? While Mokoshin was still reeling in shock, a voice suddenly rang out. Tell me, why did you attack us? A lazy voice rang out. The black-clothed youth lying on the rattan chair had spoken. This? Mokoshin hesitated, because the person who had asked him to act was no ordinary person. If that person were to discover that he had betrayed them, it would be a disaster for the entire Flying Immortal sect. Still not talking? Sword Immortal Clearwind said hurriedly. He didn't want to see Mokoshin killed by Gu Fei. Divine Knife Sect. Mokoshin hurriedly said. Divine Knife Gate? Upon hearing this, Gu Fei frowned. Is this the revenge of the Godly Knife Gate? He thought for a moment, then pointed out with his right hand. A rune immediately imprinted itself onto Mo Cho Tian's body. He had placed a restrictive spell on Mo Cho Tian. The great elder of the Flying Celestial Sect was an Earth Immortal. Master, the Godly Blade Gate is too despicable. Zhou Zyra said. Godly Blade Gate. Mo Xian'er flipped her left hand, and a divine bow appeared in her hand. She pulled back the bowstring, and a divine arrow appeared on it. Go! Mo Xian'er let go, and in the next moment, the divine arrow on the bowstring shot out. Soon a scream was heard from afar. A powerful Earth Immortal fell from the clouds. There was a bloody hole in between his eyebrows. Blood was flowing out from it. Elder Zhou of the Godly Blade Gate? The great elder of the Flying Celestial Sect, Mokoshin, was shocked to see the expert fall from the sky. Elder Zhou's level of cultivation was no lower than his own, but a young girl had killed him with a single arrow. Go back and gather your men, then await my orders. Gu Fei said. Yes, master. Mokoshin had no choice but to bow his head, because Gu Fei had placed a restrictive spell on him. If he dared to betray Gu Fei, he could kill the great elder of the Flying Celestial Sect with a single thought. Although the Flying Celestial Sect was not as powerful as the Godly Blade Gate, they still had a Sky Immortal ancestor. If they really fought to the death with the Godly Blade Gate, they might stand a chance. Mokoshin left, and Gu Fei and the others continued on their way. Why didn't you kill that great elder? Mo Xian asked. Killing him would have been a waste. Isn't that better? Gu Fei said. In about an hour, they arrived at the boundary of the central celestial region. The airship stopped in the sky, attracting countless gazes. Gu Fei stood on the airship, muttering to himself for a moment, then pointed a finger. Boom! The space in front of him shook violently. Then, a transparent spatial ripple spread out. Runes appeared in the air, and a layer of divine light appeared in the air. It enveloped the entire central celestial region? Mo Xian and Zhou Zyra were both shocked. This is a superformation. Gu Fei frowned. The people of the central celestial region were truly extravagant. To set up such a huge formation was probably not something that could be done by just one or two superpowers. Master, then we. Sword Immortal Clearwind hesitated. You think a mere defensive formation can stop me? Gu Fei flipped his right hand, and an immortal weapon appeared in his hand. It was a divine saber. Without hesitation, he slashed at the formation in front of him. As everyone watched, he slashed forward with 100 years slash. Whoosh! Deathless saber light flashed through the air, and a crack appeared in the air. How is this possible? Sword Immortal Clearwind was dumbfounded. Under everyone's gazes, Gu Fei steered the flying boat into the spatial crack that had been split open by Gu Fei's saber strike. As soon as he entered the central celestial region, Gu Fei felt that the density of the spiritual energy of heaven and earth was a few times higher than the outside world. Cultivating here would definitely yield twice the results with half the effort. However, at this moment, countless figures suddenly appeared in front of him, and those figures pressed down on the place where Gu Fei was. Gu Fei, there's a path to heaven that you don't want to take, and there's no door to hell, yet you insist on breaking through. Today, I will take your dog life to avenge my brother Shi Shao. The young man shrouded in flames roared at Gu Fei. You! Gu Fei shook his head. You dared to look down on me? The young man who was leading the group was enraged when he saw Gu Fei's disdain. Since you want to die, I will fulfill your wish. Gu Fei glanced at the young man and said indifferently, You are too arrogant. The young man from the Myriad World sect said coldly, Cut the crap, all of you come at me together. Chapter 4056. The immortal martial realm, the central immortal realm, was a true immortal ground that stood above the other four great realms. The entire central immortal realm was enveloped by an incomparably gigantic formation. It was said that during the later stages of the primordial dark era, a few golden immortals and over 10 heavenly immortals worked together to set up this supreme formation. Even heavenly immortals wouldn't be able to shake this formation. However, Gu Fei used a single slash to break apart the protective energy of the formation and directly brought Amos Siener and the others into the central immortal realm. This caused everyone who witnessed this scene to be indescribably shocked. Just a single slash was able to break apart a supreme formation that even heavenly immortals couldn't shake. How could a human immortal possess such combat prowess? The combat prowess displayed by Gu Fei had already broken the understanding of the cultivation world of the immortal martial realm. At this moment, as soon as Gu Fei entered the central immortal realm, the people from the Myriad World sect rushed over. A young man enveloped in divine flames rushed over, wanting to take revenge against Shi Shao. This person was Shirgan, an earth immortal from the Myriad World sect. The genius Shi Shao from the Myriad World sect who was killed by Gu Fei was his younger brother. It's fine if you want to take revenge, but you need to have the strength to do so. Gu Fei stood on the flying boat, emotionlessly staring at the young man in front of him. Die! Shirgan directly took out a golden bell. The golden bell soared into the sky and expanded to the size of a mountain, directly enveloping Gu Fei. Within the bell, an extremely powerful devouring energy was generated, causing the surrounding space to tremble violently, as though the entire heaven and earth was about to be devoured by the bell. It's a golden immortal great immortal weapon! Sword Immortal Qi Feng exclaimed in shock. The aura from the golden bell caused his soul to tremble. The pressure was simply too great, as though it could crush the heavens and earth. Bzzz! Zhou Zairu immediately took out the divine moon pearl and a strong power of the moon spread out, blocking the powerful pressure that was descending from the sky. She could only protect herself, there was nothing she could do for the others. Amos Siener stood behind Gu Fei, but her face was calm, not the slightest bit nervous. Humph! Gu Fei raised his head and looked at the golden divine bell that was descending from the sky. Then, he stomped his foot, and the entire airship shook violently. Then countless Tao patterns rushed out of the airship, interweaving into Tao diagrams that covered the entire airship. The heaven-devouring power that came from the golden divine bell was immediately blocked. Everyone on the flying ship felt their bodies lighten. The formidable atmosphere of coercion had disappeared. Sword Immortal Clearwind breathed a sigh of relief. That atmosphere of coercion from a gold immortal was simply too terrifying. Boom! The golden divine bell was like a giant golden mountain. It pressed down from the sky and directly smashed on the layer of Tao diagram above the flying boat. The Tao diagram violently shook. A dreadful fluctuation of strength swept out in all directions, causing pitch-black spatial cracks to appear all around it. Roar! Shirgan desperately activated the golden divine bell. Buzz! The golden divine bell shook violently. In the next moment, the space around the golden divine bell collapsed and a pitch-black spatial hole appeared. Even the chaotic chi was forced out. Shattering the void with a single strike was no ordinary gold immortal level power. However, this peerless attack still could not break through the defensive power of the airship. The golden divine bell was blocked by the Tao diagram, and the entire airship was not affected at all. How is this possible? Shurgon was truly shocked by this scene. Where did this Gufei get his hands on such a peerless immortal artifact? It was actually able to block the supreme treasure of the Myriad World Sect, the Divine Bell of Haotian. The Divine Bell of Haotian was an immortal artifact refined by the ancient Golden Immortal Haotian. After Golden Immortal Haotian's death, this immortal artifact fell into the hands of the Myriad World Sect. The Divine Bell of Haotian was the supreme treasure of the Myriad World Sect. It would not be used easily. This time, Shurgon had brought this supreme treasure with him to kill Gu Fei. In order to deal with Gu Fei, the Myriad World Sect had spared no expense. Kill! At this moment, the experts of the Myriad World Sect finally formed the Killing Grand Formation. A huge formation diagram appeared between the heaven and earth. The spiritual energy of the heaven and earth immediately converged towards the formation diagram. The entire heaven and earth changed color. The sky darkened as if night had suddenly descended. This is the Myriad World Sect's Killing Grand Formation of 9 heavens 10 earths. Experts who were watching the battle from afar exclaimed. The Myriad World Sect even used such a trump card, someone said in disbelief. Although the Myriad World Sect was not the top sect in the central immortal domain, it still had a deep foundation. Otherwise, it would have been destroyed by other powers. This Killing Grand Formation of 9 heavens 10 earths was one of the trump cards of the Myriad World Sect. Rumble! The Killing Grand Formation of 9 heavens 10 earths was operating. Terrifying energy waves surged out from the sand town, causing the entire heaven and earth to lose their color. Gu Fei, you're dead meat, Shurgon said with a cold smile, while desperately controlling the Divine Bell of Haotian. I don't know if I'm going to die or not, but I do know that you're going to die soon, Gu Fei said as he waved his hand. The divine bow in Mo Sienna's hand immediately fell into his hand. He pulled the string of the bow. The spiritual energy of the heaven and earth and the surroundings converged towards the man and the bow. Then, a divine arrow appeared on the bow. Whoosh! Gu Fei shot the arrow at Shurgon. The arrow pierced through the sky like a rainbow and arrived in front of Shurgon in an instant. What? Shurgon was shocked. He wanted to dodge, but the arrow light was too fast. He only saw the arrow light flash by, and in the next moment, Shurgon's entire body turned into dust, dissipating in the void. Seeing this scene, everyone who was watching the battle from afar was dumbfounded. Killing an earth immortal with one arrow? This Gu Fei is incredible. Even the descendants of the heaven sects and divine denominations were shocked to the extreme. Shurgon was an earth immortal, not an ordinary martial immortal. Yet he died just like that. Because of Shurgon's death, no one was controlling the Haotian divine bell. It turned into a golden light and soared into the sky, trying to escape. Humph! Gu Fei sneered. Then, he stretched out his hand and grabbed the Haotian divine bell back. The huge golden divine bell flew towards Gu Fei and shrunk rapidly. In the end, it became the size of a fist and Gu Fei grabbed it in his hand. Buzz! The Haotian divine bell vibrated continuously in Gu Fei's hand. Gu Fei tightened his grip on the divine bell and the golden divine bell immediately became obedient. It was just a golden immortal level immortal weapon. Gu Fei had even subdued a supreme Tao weapon before. Wouldn't it be easy for him to subdue such an immortal weapon? However, this scene was different in the eyes of the big shots of the heaven sects and divine denominations. It was not an easy task to subdue a golden immortal level immortal weapon. Rumble. At this time, the killing array of the Thousand World Sect had already started operating crazily. Gu Fei and the others felt that the world was about to be destroyed. The extremely terrifying power of destruction came from all directions. At this time, the Tao diagram that enveloped the entire airship began to shake violently. On the airship, Zhou Ziru and Mo Xian'er had already turned pale with fright. Sword Immortal Chi Feng even sat cross-legged on the ground and circulated the sword essence in his body to protect himself. Only Gu Fei stood at the bow of the airship with his hands clasped behind his back. No matter how the void was shattered, no matter how the heaven and earth was destroyed, his expression remained unchanged. Such elegance made countless people speechless. In the face of the thousand-world sect's killing array of the thousand-world sect, there was probably no one in the entire central celestial realm who could remain calm, not even the heaven immortals. Even the few golden immortals didn't dare to face the thousand-world sect's killing array of the thousand-world sect head-on. Almost all the experts of the thousand-world sect were here. The figures of the 5 heaven immortals were faintly discernible within the killing array, each of them emitting a powerful energy wave. The 9 heavens 10 earths 10,000 killings formation guarded by the 5 heaven immortals of the myriad world sect was powerful enough to fight against the gold immortal. 1 kill, heaven and earth annihilation. An old voice came from the killing array of the thousand world array. Then, a monstrous power of destruction surged out from the killing array, obliterating the airship that was trapped within it. Countless Tao runes intertwined in the void, the aura of destruction causing all living beings within a radius of 100,000 miles to be terrified to the extreme. Bearing the brunt of the attack, Gu Fei and the others didn't feel any discomfort, because the airship's defensive formation blocked all the pressure. Although Gu Fei had casually taken out a flying boat from his inner world, how could an ordinary flying boat compare to a flying boat that he had his eyes on? He didn't make a move, he just watched the scene with cold eyes, allowing them to attack. How is this possible? The 5 heaven immortals inside the killing array were indescribably shocked. The killing array of the thousand world array actually couldn't break the defensive formation of a tiny airship? Not only were the people of the thousand world sect dumbfounded, even the people from the other heaven sects and divine sects couldn't believe what they saw. I heard that this Gu Fei killed Shi Xiao. I thought it was a joke, but it seems like we've seriously underestimated this person, someone exclaimed. Gu Fei's airship was like a lone boat in the raging sea, as if it could be swallowed by the sea at any time, but it still managed to stay afloat. Master, what should we do? Zhou Ziru's expression was extremely solemn. Counter soldiers with arms, water with an earth weir, Gu Fei said indifferently. Boom! Just then, the Tao pattern that enveloped the airship suddenly exploded, the destructive power wreaked havoc, and countless Tao runes dissipated into the void. Seeing this, Gu Fei couldn't help but be moved. The power of the killing array of the thousand world array was not to be underestimated. At this time, the airship became unstable. Gu Fei's expression remained unchanged. Boom! Another loud explosion. The second Tao pattern that enveloped the airship exploded. Chapter 4057. The myriad world sect's 10,000 killings formation was terrifyingly powerful. This was also the reason why the myriad world sect could survive in the central immortal domain for so many years. The deterrence of a super killing formation was even more terrifying than a golden immortal. This was because most of the killing formations owned by the superforces that had been passed down for countless years were left behind from the darkest era of the ancient times. This ancient killing formation could even kill a golden immortal. The 10,000 killings formation was also an ancient formation. This ancient formation used 100,000 cultivators as its foundation and 5 celestial immortals as its core. Once it was activated, even a golden immortal would be stunned. Gu Fei is definitely going to die this time. The overlord of the eastern region's Danwu dynasty appeared in the sky. The overlord of a domain naturally had the right to enter the central immortal domain. Gu Fei could be said to have caused the Danwu dynasty a lot of trouble in the eastern region. The central immortal domain was not the eastern region. The central immortal domain's sect masters and sect masters were all stronger than the eastern martial overlord. Although the Eastern Martial Overlord was the overlord of a domain, the invincible Eastern Region Overlord had to bow his head in the central immortal domain. I don't think so. A voice rang out. The Eastern Martial Overlord looked in the direction of the voice. Celestial Sect Master? The Eastern Martial Overlord stared at the figure and said in a low voice. At this moment, all the major forces in the central immortal domain were alarmed. The fluctuation caused by the 10,000 killings formation was too strong. The entire world seemed to be overturned. Martial experts were the most sensitive to the heaven-earth yuan qi. Once the 10,000 killings formation was activated, it immediately triggered the heaven-earth yuan qi in the area. The celestial immortal patriarchs could immediately sense the changes in the heaven-earth yuan qi. As for the golden immortals, who were stronger than celestial immortals, they even used their divine will to come nearby. 3 blurry figures appeared in different directions. The figures were faint and had no flesh and blood. However, the aura emitted from each figure was much stronger than a celestial immortal. No one dared to go near the 3 blurry figures. Even the celestial immortals hid far away. Even the invincible golden immortals were alarmed. Someone said in shock. Who is this Gu Fei? He actually forced the all-world sect to use the 9 heavens 10 earths 10,000 killing formation. I heard that an extraordinary person has appeared in the eastern region. It must be this Gu Fei. The great sects of the central immortal domain were very well informed. Gu Fei had made a name for himself in the eastern domain, so the people of the central immortal domain naturally knew that such a person had appeared in the eastern domain. However, only a small portion of the people in the central celestial realm knew about Gu Fei. At this time, beams of divine light rushed over from afar. Isn't that the saintess of Star Palace? The goddess of the Brahma pure sect, Shinshi, is also here. Some people noticed the figures of some geniuses on the genius list. This was not the most shocking thing. The most shocking thing was that Longchen from the Long clan, who was ranked first on the genius rankings, had also come. A golden dragon image that was even larger than a mountain rushed over from the distance, its draconic chi vast and mighty. The pressure radiating from the gigantic dragon caused the entire heavens and earth to tremble. Countless cultivators were terrified to the extreme, and those with weaker cultivation bases were already trembling uncontrollably. Longchen was definitely the strongest existence among the younger generation in the central immortal realms. He was the number 1, the top ranker on the genius rankings. Not only that, Longchen had only cultivated for 300 years and his cultivation base had already broken through to the heavenly immortal realm. This was the first person in the past 30,000 years to reach the heavenly immortal realm. There were some who cultivated for their entire lives, but let alone the heavenly immortal realm, they couldn't even become a human immortal. In the entire immortal martial realm, it was unknown how many people were stuck at the peak of the heavenly deity realm. In the immortal martial realm, there weren't many who could cultivate to the human immortal realm. Earth immortals were even rarer. In the entire immortal martial realm, there were only 3 golden immortals. If this was the immortal martial realm before the Dark Ages, it would definitely be a world filled with human immortals. But after the Dark Ages, the immortal martial realm gradually declined. In the current era, even golden immortals were extremely rare in the immortal martial realm, let alone immortal emperors who were above the golden immortal realm. At this moment, the gigantic dragon silhouette dissipated as a silhouette appeared before the eyes of everyone. That was an ordinary-looking young man in green robes who wasn't very tall. This is Longchen? Someone was taken aback. They didn't expect that the top ranker of the genius rankings would actually be so ordinary. Longchen is the existence with the highest chance of breaking through to the golden immortal realm. Someone commented. Longchen's arrival instantly caused the other geniuses to lose their luster. Boom! At this moment, another thunderous sound rang out. The flying boat Gu Fei was on trembled violently as another powerful Tao diagram exploded, destroyed by the 9 heavens 10 earths 10,000 slaughter grand formation. Master, this! Zhou Ziru was no longer calm. If it wasn't for the protection of the Tao diagram, they would all have died here. Gu Fei and Mo Xian also couldn't sit still. Sword Immortal Qi Feng was in an even worse state. He circulated the sword energy in his body as a gigantic sword silhouette appeared, emitting incomparably sharp fluctuations of sword qi. Gu Fei didn't say anything. He still stood with his hands clasped behind his back, quietly standing at the bow of the flying boat. He was watching, observing and deducing. This 9 heavens 10,000 slaughter grand formation still had some good points. The 5 heavenly immortals sat in the eye of the formation, drawing in the energy of heaven and earth unceasingly. The more this killing formation was activated, the stronger it became. Zhou Ziru and Mo Xian were incomparably anxious. Seeing that there were only 2 Dao diagrams left, the flying boat was about to be completely exposed to the 9 heavens 10,000 slaughter grand formation. Once the Dao diagrams disappeared, they would be directly destroyed by the killing formation. So this is the case. At this moment, Gu Fei suddenly spoke. After that, he pointed out with a finger as a beam of divine light directly broke through the void, penetrating into the killing formation ahead. Everywhere that beam of divine light passed, a path of blood was cleaved open, directly towards an old man in the eye of the formation. This old man was a heavenly immortal old ancestor. Humph! The heavenly immortal old ancestor sneered. He formed a seal with both hands, and the shadow of a black tortoise emerged from his hands, directly pouncing forward. Boom! The beam of divine light directly collided with the shadow of the black tortoise. The shadow of the black tortoise was instantly pierced through, dissipating in the void. What? Seeing this, the heavenly immortal old ancestor was truly shocked. He hurriedly dodged, but the beam of divine light flashed past, and blood suddenly appeared. A mighty heavenly immortal old ancestor was actually injured by the hands of a worldly immortal like Gu Fei. Seeing this scene, even Long Chen's expression became somewhat solemn. After that, Gu Fei flipped his right hand, and a bell appeared in his hand. The divine bell of Haotian? When the 5 heavenly immortals of the myriad world sect saw this magic tool, they were all dumbfounded. This divine bell was once the treasure of their sect, and it actually fell into the hands of the opponent. Buzz! Gu Fei shook the divine golden bell in his hand. In the next moment, the divine golden bell soared into the sky from his hand, and instantly became as large as a mountain. Boom! The divine golden bell directly smashed towards the 10,000 killings formation of the 9 heavens 10 earths. In the next moment, the divine golden bell directly smashed countless disciples of the myriad world sect into meat paste. Countless people screamed in agony. The divine golden bell actually smashed a large hole in the 10,000 killings formation. Seeing this scene, all the spectators were dumbfounded. Like a giant from ancient times, Gu Fei directly grabbed the divine golden bell and smashed it towards the 10,000 killings formation of the 9 heavens 10 earths. Rumble. The 10,000 killings formation of the 9 heavens 10 earths was operating at a crazy speed. A layer of divine light emerged from the formation, enveloping all the disciples of the myriad world sect who formed the formation. When Gu Fei's divine golden bell directly smashed onto the layer of divine light, it was actually knocked away. Seeing this, Gu Fei once again took out the peerless divine saber that he had seized from the Saber King. A terrifying saber aura suddenly appeared between heaven and earth. A dazzling saber light became the only thing between heaven and earth. The immortal saber light directly tore the heaven and earth apart, instantly tearing the void between heaven and earth. Gu Fei channeled a trace of the eternal energy that he had drawn from the eternal real bone into the divine saber in his hand. In the next moment, countless cracks appeared on the divine saber, as if it could completely shatter at any time. Although it was only a trace of the eternal energy, the divine saber in Gu Fei's hand could no longer withstand it. Break for me! Gu Fei roared angrily. The divine saber in his hand fiercely struck the layer of divine light above the 10,000 killings formation of the 9 heavens 10 earths. The divine saber in his hand instantly shattered into thousands of pieces. However, the saber light was not extinguished. The sound of ripping cloth rang out, and the layer of divine light that enveloped the 9 heavens and 10 earths 10,000 killings formation was actually broken by Gu Fei's saber strike, leaving a hole that was thousands of feet long. Below the thousands of zhang-wide crack, hundreds of myriad world sect's disciples were directly cut into clouds of blood mist, dissipating into the void. What? The 5 celestial immortal old ancestors who were in charge of the 5 great formation cores were all dumbfounded when they saw this scene. This was the 10,000 killings formation of the 9 heavens 10 earths, the strongest killing formation of the myriad world sect, yet a crack was actually cut open by a single strike from Gu Fei. How is this possible? Seeing this scene, even Long Chen, the number 1 expert on the genius list, could not help but be shocked. The strike that Gu Fei had just executed was not simple. Chapter 4058. The sight of Gu Fei taking on the all-world sect's 9 heavens 10 earths 10,000 killings formation all by himself shocked everyone present. The battle prowess he displayed was too terrifying. Even the Long clan's peerless genius, the number 1 genius on the genius ranking, Long Chen, couldn't help but be moved. At this moment, the entire world felt like it was about to collapse. It was as if doomsday had arrived. The all-world sect's 9 heavens 10 earths 10,000 killings formation was extremely powerful. The all-world sect's 5 celestial immortals, led by the all-world sect master, dark form celestial immortal, began to fight with all their might. The peerless killing formation frantically gathered the heaven and earth's yuan qi. From each of the 5 great formation eyes, an immortal and terrifying divine light shot out. These 5 divine lights tore through the void and shot towards Gu Fei's body. Master, Gu Fei, Master! Zhou Zairu, Mo Xiener, and Sword Immortal Qi Feng were all shocked to see this. Roar! Gu Fei let out a low roar. A ball of divine light emerged from his chest. The ball of divine light sucked in the 5 divine lights that were piercing towards him. How is this possible? When the profound transformation celestial immortal who was guarding the center of the formation saw this, he was greatly shocked. At this moment, the energy gathered by the entire 9 heavens 10,000 killings formation was being devoured by the ball of divine light in Gu Fei's chest. Oh no! The dark form celestial immortal and the other 4 celestial immortals hurriedly operated the 9 heavens 10,000 killings formation with all their might, trying to retract the energy that was leaking out of the formation. However, to their horror, no matter how hard they tried, they couldn't retract the leaking energy. Moreover, the speed at which the killing formation's energy leaked out was increasing. In just a few breaths' time, the energy gathered by the peerless killing formation surged towards Gu Fei like a broken dam. Sect Master, this! The 4 celestial immortals in the center of the formation stared at the dark form celestial immortal in fear. Why don't we self-detonate the killing formation and perish together with this guy? A mighty-looking celestial immortal said fiercely. What? Self-exploding killing formation? When the other celestial immortals heard this, their expressions instantly went ghastly pale. All of them were celestial immortals that had lived for countless years, and it wasn't easy for them to obtain their cultivation at the celestial immortal realm. Yet he wanted them to perish together with Gu Fei? What a joke. The longer one lived, the more they cherished their lives, and the more they feared death. Even the mystic transformation celestial immortal hesitated. Sect Master, it would be too late if you hesitate any longer. The heavenly immortal who suggested taking Gu Fei down with him said anxiously. Fatty Pang, I won't stop you if you want to die, but don't drag me down with you. A thin celestial immortal said coldly. That's right. If you want to go all out against that man, you can go, but I won't. A heavenly immortal clad in black clothes and shrouded in black mist also did not want to go all out against Gu Fei. Surrender. Finally, the celestial immortal who had been silent all this while sighed. At this moment, the entire 9 heavens 10,000 kills array shot out beams of divine light. All of them rushed towards Gu Fei, and were devoured by his eternal true bone. A mysterious aura that even golden immortals would feel their hearts palpitate emanated from Gu Fei's body. At this moment, the eternal true bone in Gu Fei's chest began to awaken. It was frantically devouring the power of the 9 heavens 10,000 kills array. With the eternal true bone as the center, eternal essence qi began to spread out. The eternal essence qi nourished his blood, flesh, tendons, and bones. Gu Fei's martial body began to metamorphose into the eternal martial body. Right now, he was simply too weak. He desperately wanted to obtain more power so that he could return to the primogenitor's realm and wipe the demons from the primogenitor's realm. Roar! Gu Fei roared into the sky, causing the entire world to tremble under his roar. A terrifying pressure spread out in all directions, causing countless living beings to be terrified to the extreme. Everyone looked at this scene in utter shock. Soon, the 9 heavens 10,000 kills array that was said to be able to fight golden immortals collapsed. Countless array runes dissipated into the void. As the countless divine lights disappeared, the power gathered by the killing array was completely devoured by Gu Fei's eternal true bone. At the same time, the 100,000 cultivators from the myriad world sect had all their essence, chi, and spirit sucked dry. Countless corpses fell from the sky like raindrops. Everyone was stunned. Gu Fei's body trembled. Immediately, an explosive sound rang out from within his body. His tendons and bones sounded at the same time. A powerful wave of energy erupted from his body. At this moment, Gu Fei felt his entire body brimming with power. It was as though he could punch through the heaven and earth with a single punch. After devouring so much heaven and earth yuan qi, Gu Fei's cultivation didn't increase at all. This left everyone in disbelief. It was truly unimaginable. If it was an ordinary worldly immortal, after devouring the unimaginable amount of energy gathered by the 9 heavens 10,000 kills array, their cultivation would definitely rise to the earthly immortal realm. One must know that this energy was too powerful. That was an ancient killing array that could rival golden immortals. Congratulations, Master. Zhou Xiru was surprised and overjoyed. She didn't dare to believe it. Congratulations. Amo Sienna looked at Gu Fei with a complicated expression. Needless to say, after Gu Fei devoured the energy of the killing array, his battle prowess must have increased by a large margin. Now, even an earthly immortal would be as weak as an ant in front of him. At this moment, following the collapse of the 9 heavens 10,000 kills array, 5 powerful silhouettes appeared in the void. However, the focus of everyone's attention wasn't on these heavenly immortal old ancestors. Instead, it was on Gu Fei, who stood quietly in the void with his hands behind his back. Gu Fei's invincible demeanor stunned everyone present. One person suppressing an entire sect. This is incredible! Some of the older generation exclaimed. In the entire immortal martial realm, it had been many years since such a peerless expert appeared. And the Eastern Martial Imperial Lord, who was spectating from afar, was so scared that he almost peed his pants. He was originally in closed-door seclusion, but when he heard that Gu Fei actually wanted to challenge the supreme powers of the central immortal realms, he immediately exited his seclusion and rushed over. He originally wanted to see Gu Fei being oppressed, but who would have thought that he would see Gu Fei unleashing his invincible might, turning the tables on the myriad world sect, and even killing Shurgon in the hands of Gu Fei. Now Gu Fei actually suppressed an entire sect with his own strength. This caused the Eastern Martial Imperial Lord to be completely dumbfounded. Why aren't you guys coming over to pay your respects to the Master? Sword Immortal Qifeng raised his head and puffed out his chest as he shouted at the 5 heavenly immortals. This heavenly immortal Xianhua and the others couldn't help but be stunned. They were lofty heavenly immortal old ancestors. Only others would kneel to them. When would they ever have to pay respects to others? Humph! Don't think that you're invincible just because you broke our killing array. The heavenly immortal surnamed Pang coldly said. Impudent! Sword Immortal Qifeng glared at the heavenly immortal surnamed Pang, and roared in rage. Fatty Pang, are you courting death? Sword Immortal Qifeng coldly said. A mere human immortal dares to be so arrogant in front of this old ancestor? This old ancestor can squash you to death with a single finger. Fatty Pang said disdainfully. Not convinced? Go to hell then. Only to see Gu Fei waving his hand. Bam! Chapter 4059. Gu Fei waved his hand and Fatty Pang exploded into a cloud of blood mist. Both his body and soul were destroyed. Even the celestial weapon he had on him shattered and turned into scrap metal. What? The dark form heavenly immortal and the others were drenched in blood, but they were all trembling in fear, not daring to even let out a fart. Humph! Ignorant fools! Sword Immortal Chi-Feng glanced at the dark form Heavenly Immortal and the others, his eyes filled with disdain. So what if you are Heavenly Immortal old ancestors? In front of my master, aren't you just ants? We pay our respects to master. The dark form Heavenly Immortal and the others hurriedly knelt down to Gu Fei. Gu Fei formed seals with his hands as 4 balls of divine light shot out from his palms, entering the bodies of the dark form Heavenly Immortal and the others. He directly planted a sealing technique on the bodies of the dark form Heavenly Immortal and the others. Their life and death depended on a single thought of his. Gu Fei single-handedly subdued the Myriad World sect. When the news spread out, the entire world was shocked. Even the invincible golden immortals of the immortal martial realm wouldn't be able to subdue the Myriad World sect. At this moment, the dark form Heavenly Immortal was extremely depressed. His opponent could kill Heavenly Immortals like dogs, he had no choice but to lower his head. Lead the way, to the Myriad World sect. Gu Fei spoke to the dark form Heavenly Immortal. Yes, master. The dark form Heavenly Immortal acknowledged and flew towards the direction of the Myriad World sect's ancestral grounds. Very quickly, the news of Gu Fei wanting to take away the origin energy of heaven and earth spread throughout the central immortal realms. After that, the entire central immortal realms was in an uproar. He actually wants to take away the origin energy of heaven and earth. This is too crazy. If he succeeds, the entire central immortal realms will be finished. In an instant, the entire central immortal realms felt a sense of pressure, as though a storm was brewing. The Long Clan, Xian Clan, Star Palace, War God Hall, these peak powers of the central immortal realms were all alarmed. The origin energy of heaven and earth was sealed within the ancestral vein of the central immortal realms. Whoever dared to take it away would be the enemy of all the powers of the central immortal realms. That Gu Fei even subdued the Myriad World sect. Who can be his opponent? I'm afraid even a golden immortal would find it difficult to kill him. An expert of the older generation said worriedly. Not necessarily. Myriad World sect isn't the strongest heaven sect or divine religion in the central celestial realm. The top forces like Long Family, Xian Family, Warlord Temple and Star Palace have yet to take action, someone said. However, there were still many people in the central immortal realms who were convinced by Gu Fei's unrivaled style of suppressing an entire sect by himself. The Long Clan, Xian Clan, War God Hall, these powers had dominated the central immortal realms for countless years. Now that Gu Fei was finally able to challenge these forces, there were naturally many people who hoped that Gu Fei would be able to make a breakthrough. However, just as Gu Fei and the others arrived at the Myriad World sect, a silhouette directly broke through the void and descended from the sky. A boundless pressure was emitted from this silhouette. With a wave of his hand, he directly grabbed towards the ancestral grounds of the Myriad World sect. In an instant, a huge palm enveloped the entire space, covering the entire sky. The power of this attack was shocking. Humph! A cold laugh could be heard from the ancestral grounds of the Myriad World sect. Xianhua Celestial Immortal opened his eyes and looked up. The next moment, a huge hand also rushed out from the ancestral grounds of the Myriad World sect. Boom! The two huge hands instantly collided. The huge hand that Xianhua Celestial Immortal had conjured could not even withstand a single blow, and was crushed by the huge hand in the sky. The huge hand was like a huge mountain, slamming towards the ancestral grounds of the Myriad World sect. The terrifying divine might shook the entire heaven and earth. In the ancestral grounds of the Myriad World sect, Xianhua Celestial Immortal spat out a mouthful of blood. Golden Immortal? He was terrified. Seeing the huge hand pressing down from the sky, he could only activate the defensive formation of the ancestral grounds of the Myriad World sect. Buzz! The void trembled and a layer of divine light appeared between heaven and earth, covering the entire ancestral grounds of the Myriad World sect. Boom! The huge hand slammed onto the layer of divine light above the ancestral grounds of the Myriad World sect. The next moment, there was a sound of something breaking and the layer of divine light had countless cracks. What? All the disciples in the ancestral grounds of the Myriad World sect were shocked by the scene. Humph! Gu Fei walked out from one of the pavilions and punched towards the sky. His punch did not contain any violent energy fluctuations, nor did it contain any might. However, the layer of divine light in the sky that didn't dare to crack had a fist imprint on it. Bam! Gu Fei's fist energy directly collided with the huge hand in the sky. In the next moment, a cry of surprise came from the sky. Then, the huge hand actually retracted itself. Shwa! Gu Fei took a step forward and instantly shot up into the sky. He directly punched a hole in the layer of divine light above the ancestral grounds of the Myriad World sect and rushed out. Everyone in the ancestral grounds of the Myriad World sect was dumbfounded. Gu Fei clenched his right fist and punched towards the sky. Bam! The fist energy that erupted from Gu Fei's fist pierced through the void of heaven and earth, ignoring the distance between them. A skinny figure that was 100 miles away was shaken out of the void. It was a skinny old man. At this moment, the little old man's face was filled with terror. He lowered his head and saw that a bloody hole had appeared on his chest. Gu Fei's fist energy actually ignored the distance of 100 miles and pierced through the old man's body. How is this possible? The little old man laughed bitterly with boundless unwillingness, and then with a bang, his entire body exploded and transformed into a cloud of blood mist. Only then did Gu Fei retract his fist. The immortals who rushed out from the ancestral grounds of the Myriad World sect were in disbelief. Do you know who that person is? Gu Fei looked at the profound transformation heavenly immortal. It's an old ancestor of the Godly Blade sect. I didn't expect him to still be alive. The mystic transformation heavenly immortal said with lingering fear in his heart. The Godly Saber Gate had once produced a golden immortal, and this old ancestor of the Godly Saber Gate was a golden immortal. Unfortunately, he encountered Gu Fei, and this time, he had truly fallen. The Godly Blade sect actually had a golden essence old ancestor alive. Since you dare to provoke me, then I shall annihilate the Godly Blade sect, Gu Fei said indifferently. The profound transformation heavenly immortal hesitated. Why, is there a problem? Gu Fei asked. No, there is no problem at all, the profound transformation heavenly immortal quickly said. His master actually killed a golden immortal with a single punch, how could he dare to say no? However, before Gu Fei could denounce the Godly Blade sect, the major sects and divine sects of the central celestial domain came looking for him. Long family, Xian family, Star Palace, and War God Temple are here to pay a visit to Gu Fei. A voice traveled from the outside of the Myriad World sect's ancestral ground into the ancestral ground, as well as into the ears of everyone inside the ancestral ground. Everyone in the 10,000 World sect's ancestral land was shocked to the extreme when the top powers of the four central immortal domains paid a visit at the same time. Chapter 4060. The Long Clan, Xian Clan, Star Palace, War God Hall, these four clans and sects were all peak powers in the central immortal martial realm. These powers were the true rulers of the central immortal realms, suppressing the central immortal realms for countless years. Second-rate powers like the Godly Blade sect, Myriad World sect, and Brahma Pure sect couldn't be compared to them. The Myriad World sect was incomparably terrified by the arrival of these four powers. What should we do? Even the sect leader of the Myriad World sect, the mystic transformation heaven immortal, was at a loss. One must know that the four major powers of Long Clan either had a golden immortal overseeing them, or they had a golden immortal grade immortal equipment left behind by a golden immortal to safeguard their fate. The Long Clan even had a supreme immortal artifact left behind by an immortal emperor. It was said that the golden immortal of the Long Clan had already fallen, but no one knew the truth. However, the other three powers didn't dare to antagonize the Long Clan. Even without a golden immortal, no one would dare to challenge the Long Clan, the number one clan in the central immortal realms. As for the War God Hall, Star Palace, and Xian Clan, they were all powers with golden immortals. Naturally, these were only the golden immortals on the surface. No one knew exactly how many golden immortals there were in the central immortal realms. Taoist Gu, aren't you going to invite us in? An ancient voice rang out. Outside the Thousand World Sect's ancestral grounds, 4 powerful figures appeared in the void, each of them exuding a terrifying aura. These 4 experts were all celestial immortals. The strongest among them was a white-robed old man, who was also the one who spoke earlier. The old man's cultivation had already reached the peak of the heavenly immortal realm, only a fine line away from the half-step golden immortal realm. Xian Fanyun, brother Xian, what is the meaning of this? The dark form heavenly immortal's voice rang out from within the myriad world sect. Fellow Taoist Xian Hua, we're only here to meet fellow Taoist Gu Fei. A green-robed middle-aged Taoist said calmly with a horsetail whisk in his hand. Taoist Wuchen, my master doesn't wish to see you. Please leave. Xian Fanyun, Jian Wuchen, Fairy Nebula, and Long Tianxing. These 4 heavenly immortals were all famous heavenly immortals in the central immortal realms. The pressure on the mystic transformation heavenly immortal was as great as a mountain. He wouldn't be a match for any one of these 4 heavenly immortals, let alone when all 4 of them came at the same time. Furthermore, these 4 heavenly immortals represented the 4 top powers of the central immortal region. It's not up to him whether he wants to see her or not. He was like an unsheathed heavenly sword, and the temperature of the world kept dropping. A cold wind blew, and she soared into the sky. How dare you threaten my master? Another voice sounded in the ancestral grounds of the myriad world sect, and an extremely sharp sword she rippled out from the ancestral grounds. Sword immortal? Jian Wuchen waved the horsetail whisk in his hand, his eyes lighting up. Humph! A puny human immortal dares to act impudently in front of us? Xian Fanyun sneered. I have a sword that can slay sky immortals. In a pavilion in the myriad world sect's ancestral land, sword immortal Qi Feng raised his head to look at Jian Wuchen in the sky. A human immortal killing off a heavenly immortal? Haha, this is too funny. The 4 heavenly immortals burst into laughter, as if they had heard the funniest joke in the world. Let's go. Let them witness what a supreme sword Dao is. Inside the pavilion, Gu Fei was leisurely lying on a chair, flipping through the myriad world sect's cornerstone secret manual. The cornerstone secret manual of the myriad world sect was merely an incomplete cultivation technique. The complete eternal world secret manual could be cultivated to the sage realm, but the incomplete manual could only be cultivated to the heavenly immortal realm. Gu Fei casually flipped through a few pages, then threw it to the side. This caused the sect leader of the myriad world sect, Dark State Celestial Immortal, to feel his heart ache. He hurriedly and carefully picked up the Eternal World Secret Manual. This was the foundation of the myriad world sect's inheritance. This Gu Fei actually looked down on the Eternal World Secret Manual? Throw it away like a shoe? The Dark State Celestial Immortal was shocked. Yes, Master. Sword Immortal Qi Feng hurriedly nodded, then turned into a sword light and shot up into the sky, charging out of the myriad world sect's ancestral land. This little guy really dared to come out. Jian Wuchen and the others were very surprised. One should know that a human immortal would never dare to challenge a heavenly immortal. A heavenly immortal could kill a human immortal with a single finger. To put it bluntly, even a human immortal would lose a layer of skin from a heavenly immortal's sneeze. I really admire your courage, but I have to say, you are also the stupidest person in the world. How dare you challenge us? Isn't this no different from courting death? Jian Wuchen said disdainfully. Whether I'm stupid or not is not up to you to decide, Sword Immortal Qi Feng said indifferently. Sword Immortal Clearwind said calmly. The extreme Dao 9 kills sword that Gu Fei had imparted to him was definitely the strongest sword Dao in the world. At this moment, even if he were to face a celestial immortal, he would still be extremely confident. Brother Wuchen, this little guy seems to be quite confident. Long Tianxing laughed. In his opinion, a human immortal challenging a heavenly immortal was a joke. There's no need for the old ancestor to take action against a little guy like this. I'll deal with him. At this moment, a figure rushed over from the distance. Powerful sword energy erupted from this figure, seemingly tearing the void apart. Jian Wuchen wore a proud expression. The newcomer was a middle-aged man in green robes. This middle-aged man carried an ancient sword on his back, and his aura was as sharp as a peerless divine weapon. Die. The person didn't even announce his name. He directly patted the ancient sword on his back. In the next moment, with a clang, the ancient sword was unsheathed and turned into a dazzling sword light, slashing directly at Sword Immortal Qingfeng. The incomparably swift and fierce sword light tore through the void. The vast and mighty sword Qi seemed to have frozen the void. Sect Origin Swords. Sword Immortal Qingfeng unhurriedly clenched his right hand into a sword finger, and drew the sword light in the void. The sword light that was slashing towards him was actually drawn away by him. The sharp sword light circled around Sword Immortal Qingfeng's body and directly slashed back at that person. That person was truly shocked. What kind of sword Dao was this? How could it draw his sword light? How was this possible? What? Seeing this, Jian Wuchen's pupils contracted violently. Sect Origin Swords? Jian Wuchen stared fixedly at Sword Immortal Qingfeng. What kind of sword Dao did you impart to your servant? In the myriad world sect's ancestral land, Mo Xianer, who was watching the battle through the dazzling light projection technique, was extremely curious. Gu Fei had imparted some sword Dao cultivation techniques to Sword Immortal Qingfeng. Mo Xian had never imagined that the sword Dao cultivation technique Gu Fei had imparted to Sword Immortal Qingfeng would be so miraculous. This wasn't the true sect origin swords. The true sect origin swords could make all the swords bow with a single movement of the sword intent. With Sword Immortal Qingfeng's cultivation, he hadn't even touched the edge of the sect origin swords, let alone the sect origin swords. However, it was still more than enough to control this fellow's immortal sword. Swish! That person immediately retreated. However, the sword light controlled by Sword Immortal Qingfeng was unimaginably fast. With a flash of sword light, that person was sliced in half. A ball of divine light wrapped around a primordial spirit and rushed out from the corpse. However, a burst of sword chi directly destroyed the ball of divine light, and the primordial spirit dissipated. A powerful earth immortal, and a sword immortal at that, died under Sword Immortal Qingfeng's sword just like that. Sword Immortal Qingfeng waved his hand, and the sword light flew back to him. The sword light dissipated, and an ancient sword appeared, floating in front of him. You! The four heavenly immortals were dumbfounded. They never imagined that Sword Immortal Qingfeng could kill an earth immortal with a single sword strike. Earth immortals were a whole realm higher than human immortals. Earth immortals could kill human immortals like ants, but now, the tables had been turned. A human immortal could kill an earth immortal as easily as stepping on an ant. I said I have a sword that can kill heaven immortals. Sword Immortal Qingfeng said indifferently. Preposterous! The four heavenly immortals were shocked and angry. At this time, no one dared to underestimate this little fellow. Very well, let me have a taste of your sword Dao. I hope you won't disappoint me. With that, Jian Wuchen waved the horsetail whisk in his hand. In the next moment, the threads of the horsetail whisk transformed into countless extremely sharp sword light, piercing towards Sword Immortal Qingfeng. Every sword light tore through the void, leaving pitch-black spatial cracks in the void. Extreme 9 murders, first slash! Sword Immortal Qingfeng grasped the ancient sword in front of him. In the next moment, he swung his sword, and a wave of sword chi surged forward, instantly piercing through the countless sword lights and colliding with each other. When the sword lights struck the wave of sword chi, it was as if they had struck a water droplet. They were directly refined and devoured. After refining and devouring Jian Wuchen's sword light, the wave of sword chi became even more powerful. Countless hair-like cracks appeared in the surrounding void. It can actually devour my sword essence? Jian Wuchen was truly shocked. His opponent's sword Dao was too strange. He was clearly a human immortal. How could he kill an earth immortal and fight a heaven immortal? However, this was simply impossible. This miraculous scene was happening right before everyone's eyes. They had no choice but to believe it. Buzz! The wave of sword chi surged forward. Jian Wuchen wanted to withdraw his horsetail whisk, but he was shocked to find that his horsetail whisk was being sucked in by his opponent's sword chi. The power of the sword chi surged along the horsetail whisk toward him. Damn it! Jian Wuchen threw away the horsetail whisk in his hand and retreated. At the same time, he opened his mouth and spat out a sharp sword light, which shot towards Sword Immortal Qi Feng. The attack of a heaven immortal was extraordinary. The sword light flashed past extremely fast. It was as if the world was being cleaved in half by the sword. Sword Qi spread out, shaking the entire world. Extreme 9 murders, second slash! Sword Immortal Qing Feng's sword stance changed. In the next moment, his figure blurred, as if he had become a phantom. Chapter 4061. Jian Wuchen finally made his move. Sword light spat out from his mouth as the Wuchen sword transformed into a resplendent beam of sword light, piercing through Sword Immortal Clearwind's body. At this moment, Sword Immortal Clearwind had already executed the second strike of the extreme down 9 kills swordplay. His entire body abruptly turned illusory. The extremely sharp sword light flashed across his body, and unexpectedly became dim. How is this possible? Jian Wuchen was indescribably shocked. His opponent was actually devouring his sword energy. This was the source energy of the sword Dao. Nothing is impossible! Sword Immortal Clearwind was expressionless. In the next instant, like a gust of wind, he instantly vanished into nothingness, leaving no traces behind. What? Jian Wuchen jumped in fright. He had never seen or heard of such a sword Dao before. It was definitely not the sword Dao of the immortal martial realm. Jian Wuchen was a heavenly sword immortal from the War God Hall. He had once roamed the world with his sword, and everywhere he passed by, no one was a match for him. It could be said that Jian Wuchen had seen all kinds of sword Daos in the immortal martial realm, but he had never seen such a sword Dao that could transform into nothingness. Swish! At this moment, he only felt a cold sensation on his face, followed by a burning pain. Stretching his hand out to touch his face, he discovered that his hand was covered in blood. It was as though his face had been slashed by a sharp blade. Jian Wuchen was greatly shocked and hurriedly retreated. Numerous wounds appeared on his robes as blood seeped out from his body. This was formless sword chi. This was the second strike of the extreme down 9 kills swordplay that Gu Fei had taught Sword Immortal Clearwind. The sword light was formless, and so was the person. Formless, shadowless, and traceless. This, Qian Fanyan, Fairy Nebula, and Long Tianqing were all dumbfounded when they saw this scene. One must know that in their eyes Sword Immortal Clearwind was merely a little fellow, a human immortal that they could crush at any time. However, the ant in their eyes actually injured Jian Wuchen. This was simply a miracle. How could a human immortal injure a heavenly immortal? One must know that a human immortal was 2 levels lower than a heavenly immortal. In terms of cultivation realm, the difference of 1 realm was like the difference between heaven and earth, let alone the difference of 2 realms. This could no longer be described as the difference between heaven and earth. Roar! Jian Wuchen roared. Countless sword lights rushed out of his body, forming a layer of sword astral around him. His celestial immortal domain instantly erupted, covering the entire area. Buzz! Jian Wuchen seemed to have transformed into the ruler of this world. At the same time, Sword Immortal Breezy's figure appeared within the sword domain. My domain I rule. Let's see where you can hide. Jian Wuchen proudly declared. His hair was disheveled, and he was covered in blood. Although he was in a sorry state, he still had the bearing of a Grand Master of the Sword Dao. Humph! Sword Immortal Qin Feng smiled and didn't say anything. Die. Being injured by an ant-like little fellow infuriated Jian Wuchen. This was too shameful, and he wished he could kill this fellow with a single slash. Buzz! The entire sword domain shook and one peerless sword light after another swept towards Sword Immortal Clearwind. Every one of the sword light was strong enough to kill off the average heavenly immortal. In the face of this lethal attack, Sword Immortal Qin Feng's expression remained unchanged. Extreme down 9 slashes, third slash, realm slash. Sword Immortal Clearwind roared. His body trembled, and an endless amount of sword Tao energy immediately gathered towards the divine sword in his hand. Kill! Sword Immortal Clearwind roared. All the sword energy in his body instantly gathered on the divine sword in his hand. In the next moment, a sky-piercing sword light appeared within Jian Wuchen's sword Tao domain. Endless sword Qi gathered at one point, and then suddenly exploded. Swoosh! The sword light soared into the sky and split Jian Wuchen's sword Tao domain in half. What? Xian Fanyun and the others were dumbfounded. That was a celestial immortal domain, but it was split by a human immortal's sword. That sword light actually carried a trace of immortality. What kind of sword Tao is this? Long Tianxing's voice trembled. This kind of sword Tao energy was too heaven-defying. Incredible. A golden immortal level sword Tao? Or a supreme immortal emperor level sword Tao? Goddess Nebula stared at Sword Immortal Clearwind, who had split the celestial immortal domain with a single slash. Alright, I'll send you on your way. Sword Immortal Clearwind's face was still as calm as ever. In the next moment, he used the fourth of the extreme down 9 slashes. Time seemed to stand still as the sword slashed out. The vast and mighty sword Tao energy from Sword Immortal Clearwind's body actually affected time and space. In the next moment, Jian Wuchen's sword Tao domain instantly collapsed. Jian Wuchen wanted to dodge, but he was shocked to find that he couldn't move. He couldn't even move a finger. Roar! He roared crazily and desperately circulated his mystic arts, but it was all in vain. Jian Wuchen could only stare blankly as the sword in his opponent's hand pierced through his forehead. Then, his consciousness sank into endless darkness. The War God Temple's Sword Immortal, Jian Wuchen, was dead. His body and soul were both destroyed. Sword Immortal Clearwind flicked his sword lightly. A trace of dust fell from the tip of the sword and then dissipated into the void. The power of this sword was too terrifying. Xian Fanyun stared at the black-robed youth in front of him, a murderous look on his face. The black-robed Gu Fei didn't say a word. What an arrogant fellow! Long Tianxing stared at the black-robed Gu Fei with a solemn expression. The auras of the 3 celestial immortals continued to soar. The terrifying might of a celestial immortal swept out in all directions, causing the entire void to tremble as if it was about to collapse. A celestial immortal could destroy a city or a country. With a single strike, they could collapse a mountain range and sink the earth. However, the black-robed Gu Fei stood there quietly. Even in the face of the overwhelming might, he was still as calm as the wind. To him, the earth-shattering might was like a light breeze. At this time, in the Myriad World Sect's ancestral grounds, everyone from the Myriad World Sect was looking at the 2 sides in the sky in shock. Isn't Master in the ancestral grounds? Who is that person? The dark-formed celestial immortal was shocked. Could this be the doppelganger technique? However, for a doppelganger to have such power, it was beyond the scope of the dark-formed celestial immortal's understanding. Master is using a doppelganger to fight 3 celestial immortals? Everyone was shocked to the extreme. Boom! At this time, the black-robed Gu Fei made his move. In the next instant, his strength erupted like a mountain torrent, sweeping out in all directions and sending Sword Immortal Clearwind flying. Kill! The 3 celestial immortals roared at the same time. In the next instant, all 3 celestial immortals made their moves. A huge seal rose from Long Tianxing's hand, turning into a huge golden seal that pressed down on the black-robed Gu Fei. The power that emanated from the golden seal was extremely powerful. The shadow of a ferocious beast rushed out from Xian Fanyun's body, turning into a ferocious tiger that pounced towards Li Kuang. Goddess Nebula was even more powerful. She used the heavenly mystic art to attract the power of the stars to her body. Her shadow actually emitted specks of starlight. It was as if a star field had appeared in front of everyone's eyes. Goddess Nebula waved her right hand, and huge stars immediately flew towards the black-robed Gu Fei. Each star emitted a peerless power of the stars. A single star could destroy an entire mountain range. It was absolutely terrifying, absolutely powerful. Chapter 4062 The black-robed Gu Fei was extremely powerful. With a flick of his finger, he shattered the heavenly dragon seal, sent Fairy Nebula flying with a slap, and almost destroyed half of Xian Fanyun's body with a punch. This scene caused the major characters in the Myriad World sect to be incomparably shocked. The other disciples of the Myriad World sect were so shocked that their jaws almost dropped to the ground. That's just a clone, yet he could actually contend against those famous characters in the immortal martial realm. Not only that, he could even suppress those major characters. The mystic transformation Heavenly Immortal was indescribably shocked. The combat prowess displayed by the black-robed Gu Fei was simply too heaven-defying. Such combat prowess was probably even more terrifying than a golden immortal. If he wanted to destroy us, it would be as effortless as blowing off dust, an elder from the Myriad World sect said in a trembling voice. He stared in terror at the mountain peak where Gu Fei was at. Just thinking about how he had once fought against such a character caused him to break out in cold sweat. The Myriad World sect's heavenly immortals rejoiced at their choice back then. If they had chosen to fight to the death with Gu Fei, the ones who would have died would definitely be them. That day, the 5 heavenly immortals of the Myriad World sect laid down the 9 heavens 10 earths 10,000 killings formation in an attempt to kill Gu Fei. Who would have thought that Gu Fei would actually destroy the 10,000 killings formation with his own strength? This directly led to the deaths of over 100,000 elite disciples. Of the 5 heavenly immortals, 1 was killed, while the other 4 submitted to Gu Fei. Boom! At this moment, the black-robed Gu Fei stretched out his hand, directly grabbing the heavenly dragon seal. The heavenly dragon seal trembled violently, and in the next instant, it transformed into a golden dragon that wanted to devour the black-robed Gu Fei. However, the black-robed Gu Fei exerted force in his right hand. Kacha! The heavenly dragon seal was actually crushed into pieces by him. The golden dragon let out a mournful wail before directly disintegrating in the air. Roar! Long Tianxing screamed as he coughed out a mouthful of blood. The strand of divine sense he had attached to the heavenly dragon seal was directly destroyed by the black-robed Gu Fei, causing him to suffer a great impact, and his injuries were not light. How is this possible? Long Tianxing was extremely shocked. That was a treasure that had been passed down in the Long family for countless years, and it was actually crushed by this guy. Just how powerful was this guy? It was hard to imagine. Shattering a golden immortal artifact with his bare hands. If they had not seen it with their own eyes, no one would have believed it. This was no ordinary immortal artifact. Fairy Nebula, Xian Fanyun and the rest were all dumbfounded. The heavenly dragon imprint was a golden immortal ranked immortal weapon. It was extremely famous even in the central immortal realms of the immortal martial realm. The Long family patriarch who refined the heavenly dragon seal was a fierce person of his generation. He was exceptionally powerful. He had once killed an evil flood dragon and used its corpse to refine this seal. The flood dragon had the cultivation base of a gold immortal, and its flesh, blood, tendons, and bones had been refined into an ancient seal. Once this seal was unleashed, it was enough to shatter the heavens and the earth. It could destroy a city or even a country. It could even sink a mountain range. Rumble! Long Tianxing went all out. He transformed into a golden dragon that was even larger than a mountain and lunged towards the black-robed Gu Fei. His gigantic dragon claws tore through the void. Humph! The black-robed Gu Fei coldly laughed as he punched out. This punch was extremely ordinary, like an ordinary person punching a fist. However, it was this extremely ordinary punch that directly blasted the gigantic dragon through the air. Golden blood rained down from the sky. That was the blood of a dragon. Although it wasn't the blood of a true dragon, the power of its bloodline was something even a true dragon couldn't compare to. The spectators were all dumbfounded when they saw this scene. This fellow was too powerful, like a reincarnated golden immortal. He defeated Long Tianxing with a single punch. One must know that Long Tianxing was one of the strongest existences in the Long clan. Other than the clan lord of the Long clan and an ancient relic that had lived for countless years, Long Tianxing was the strongest. But now, This Long Tianqing couldn't even block a single punch from this black-robed young man. In that case, who else in the immortal martial realm could be a match for this fellow? Rumble! As the might of Gu Fei's fist grew stronger and stronger, the entire heaven and earth trembled along with it, directly blasting Xian Fanyun away. Xian Fanyun was extremely depressed. Die! Fairy Nebula unleashed her full power. Millions and millions of astral light gushed forth from her, and in the next instant, the entire heaven and earth transformed into a boundless constellation, with each and every constellation revolving. As the sun and moon set, it was as if everyone was in a real star field. At this moment, all the astral energy in the heaven and earth seemed to be drawn over by Fairy Nebula. The astral energy was so dense that it seemed as though it couldn't be dispersed. Astral domain? Xian Fanyun and Long Tianqing were incomparably shocked when they saw this. Fairy Nebula's astral domain was one of the strongest techniques in the central immortal realms. The moment she unleashed her astral domain, she was unstoppable and had even defeated other heavenly immortals. Fairy Nebula was very confident in her astral domain. Of course, in the central immortal realms, if you wanted to be famous, the most direct factor was to be able to fight. If you couldn't fight, then you couldn't be called an expert. The heir of the Star Palace was known as the Star War God, and Fairy Nebula was even more outstanding among them. It had to be said that this astral domain was very powerful, but unfortunately, Fairy Nebula's opponent was the black-robed Gu Fei. Although it was only a clone, he could easily crush a heavenly immortal. Boom! He punched out, and in the next instant, millions and millions of stars shattered. Boundless starlight was extinguished, and the countless stars in the heaven and earth seemed to have been wiped away by a giant hand. With just one punch, Fairy Nebula's astral domain, which she was so proud of, had been destroyed by Gu Fei. With just one punch, he had destroyed a heavenly immortal's astral domain without the slightest bit of effort. His ability to lift something heavy as if it were light shocked everyone. Too strong! Sword Immortal Clearwind, who had already retreated to the side, was dumbfounded. He had destroyed Jian Wuchen's astral domain by using the Extreme Down 9 Kills sword. The Extreme Down 9 Kills sword was a supreme sword Dao created by Gu Fei himself. Only such a supreme sword Dao could kill Jian Wuchen. But Gu Fei had destroyed the astral domain with just one punch. It was just a punch. To defeat a heavenly immortal with just one punch, this black-robed youth's cultivation and battle prowess were definitely above Sword Immortal Clearwind's. Too terrifying! The dark-formed celestial immortal exclaimed. Long Tianqing and the others didn't know that Gu Fei was only a clone of Gu Fei, but they did know that if a clone was already so powerful, wouldn't the real body be even more powerful? It was already very good that a clone could use 1% of the real body's power. If Gu Fei's clone could defeat a heavenly immortal with just one punch, then wouldn't it be easier for his real body to kill a heavenly immortal than a fly? Thinking of this, the big shots of the Myriad World sect were even more frightened. Their master was too mysterious and powerful. They had also investigated Gu Fei's background. He had risen to prominence in the Eastern region, and was invincible in the Eastern region. Even the Eastern Martial Saint Emperor couldn't do anything to him. However, this was all on the surface, and anyone could investigate it. However, no one knew where Gu Fei was born, where he cultivated, who his master was, or who could have taught such a powerful disciple. All of this was a mystery to everyone. "He's a golden immortal?" someone said in fear. "I'm afraid he's not," the dark-formed celestial immortal said with fear. "Could he be the legendary immortal emperor? How is that possible?" someone exclaimed. An immortal emperor was a supreme expert that only existed in the ancient Dark Age. Legend had it that a single hair of an immortal emperor could cut the sun and the moon, break the universe, and crush mountains and rivers with a single strike. If Gu Fei was really an immortal emperor, then it would be fun. Who could stop him if he went to take the origin of heaven and earth? One should know that in the current era, the strongest existences were golden immortals. A golden immortal with an immortal weapon left behind by an immortal emperor could display a trace of an immortal emperor's power. However, There was a fundamental difference between this and a real immortal emperor. No matter how powerful an immortal weapon left behind by an immortal emperor was, it was still refined by an immortal emperor. Therefore, an immortal emperor weapon could not hurt an immortal emperor. All right, I'll give you two choices. One is to die, the other is to surrender. I won't say it twice. The black-robed Gu Fei looked at the three heavenly immortals indifferently. Whether it was Long Tianqing, Xian Fanyun, or Goddess Nebula, they were all famous experts in the central immortal domain, peerless and powerful. They were all first-rate heavenly immortals. However, at this moment, one of the three heavenly immortals stared at Gu Fei in shock and anger. They all had one question in mind: where did this guy come from? The powerful battle prowess displayed by the black-robed Gu Fei rendered them powerless to resist. Die or surrender? Xian Fanyun and the others paled when they heard this. They had lived for countless years and were influential figures in their respective sections. Surrender? However, if they didn't surrender, they would die. The black-robed Gu Fei's battle prowess was too shocking. If they didn't surrender, they would definitely die. It was difficult to choose between a dignified death or a sullen life. However, in the end, the three heavenly immortals chose to lower their heads to Gu Fei because they didn't want to die. This outcome made countless people's eyeballs fall out of their sockets. Even the heirs of the four strongest heavenly sects in the central immortal domain were no match for Gu Fei. Gu Fei had crushed the four heavenly sects with his own strength. For a moment, everyone was speechless. This Puihu, who was on a mountain in the distance, was inexplicably shocked. How could Gu Fei be so powerful? Gu Fei had defeated the four heavenly immortals and was free to deal with the godly knife gate. In another direction, the Eastern Wu overlord's figure appeared in the void. This Gu Fei. The Eastern Wu overlord saw that the situation was not good and immediately fled. On this day, this battle, Gu Fei's name was destined to spread throughout the central immortal domain. All those who wanted to plot against Gu Fei failed. Godly Knife Gate, it's time! Chapter 4063. The news of Long Tianqing, Xian Fanyun and Fairy Nebula submitting to Gu Fei circulated around, causing the major powers of the immortal martial realm to be in an uproar. Especially the Long family, the Xian family, the Star Palace and the Warlord Temple. These four major powers were the pinnacle powers in the central immortal domain. Each of them had a heritage of at least hundreds of thousands of years. They were truly invincible golden immortal families. Families and sects that could be called golden immortal families were those that had produced golden immortals in the past, or were currently being presided over by golden immortals. These golden immortal family clans were the strongest factions in the central immortal domain. Even the Danwu dynasty could not contend with the golden immortal noble clans. Even the divine martial Holy Land could not. Although the divine martial Holy Land's holy master was the strongest expert in the eastern region, he was not a match for them. However, in the eyes of the Long family, the Xian family, and the other powers, it was nothing. Heavenly immortals were something that any random power in the central immortal region could find at least 2 or 3 of them. Come on! The central immortal realms were the true core of the entire immortal martial realm. The strongest existences of the immortal martial realm were all gathered there. At this moment, the gazes of countless experts in the central immortal realms were focused on the ancestral land of the Myriad World sect. All of this was because of a single person. Gu Fei's name had already shaken the entire central immortal domain. Everyone was talking about Gu Fei and the soul-stirring battle outside the all-world sect's ancestral ground. How preposterous! I now announce that Long Tianqing's name is removed from the Long family. Long family, Patriarch Long Yichen said these words. Long Yichen was the current family head of the Long family. His cultivation base was extremely strong, even stronger than Long Tianqing. He was already at the early stage of Golden Immortal. He had just recently broken through to the initial stage of the Golden Immortal realm. Hence, in the entire Immortal Martial realm, in the entire Central Immortal realms, not many people knew of his actual strength. The Long family finally produced another Golden Immortal. The definition of a golden immortal in the central immortal domain was to be invincible, to crush everything in its path. After Long Yichen became a golden immortal, the Long family became more confident. Long Tianqing submitting to Gu Fei was an absolute humiliation to the Long family. Therefore, the Long family expelled Long Tianqing from the Long family as soon as they received the news. The Xian family made the same decision. They expelled Xian Fanyun from the Xian family, drawing a clear line between them. As for Star Palace, no one jumped out to make irresponsible remarks. Star Palace was very quiet. However, the War God Temple was different. The War God Hall was extremely domineering. The Hall Master of the War God Hall had even challenged Sword Immortal Clearwind to a duel. Sword Immortal Clearwind was Gu Fei's subordinate. The War God Temple's decision to challenge Sword Immortal Clearwind was the same as challenging Gu Fei. Everyone was stunned by the War God Temple's decision. However, to everyone's surprise, Sword Immortal Qing Feng did not accept the challenge. At this time, countless cultivators gathered outside the Myriad World sect. Some of them wanted to become Gu Fei's disciple while others wanted to join the Myriad World sect. These cultivators tried all sorts of methods to get closer to Gu Fei. Gu Fei didn't care about them at all. He was concocting pills. The Myriad World sect actually had a lot of immortal herbs hidden away. He could use them to concoct a cauldron of pills. The news of him wanting to obtain the source of heaven and earth had spread throughout the central celestial realm. Even so, no one dared to challenge Gu Fei again. Rumble. In the depths of the Myriad World sect's ancestral grounds, thunderous rumbles could be heard coming from a valley. Even from outside the valley, one could feel a strong heat coming from the valley. Inside the valley, a cauldron the size of a small mountain floated in the void. 9 dragon shadows rushed out from the ground and circled around the cauldron. The essence of the entire Myriad World sect's ancestral grounds was guided by Gu Fei, turning into the 9 heavens godly fire to refine the peerless divine pill inside the cauldron. The Myriad World sect's upper echelon was shocked. This was the first time they had seen someone using heaven and earth as a cauldron to refine a heaven-defying divine pill. In the end, Gu Fei even drew out the true fire of Earth Lung. This was a technique that only celestial immortals could use. The true fire of Earth Lung was very unstable, and if one was careless and ignited it, even a celestial immortal would be heavily injured. When the Earth Lung true fire was drawn out by Gu Fei, everyone was stunned to the extreme. Rumble. The gigantic cauldron revolved, and after 49 days, the divine pill inside was refined 49 times, finally forming into a pill. A divine lotus bloomed above the cauldron as a medicinal fragrance permeated the air. With just a sniff, everyone could feel their immortal energy circulating at an even faster rate. It was as though just a sniff could raise their cultivation base by over 10 years. This, one of the most powerful alchemists in the immortal martial realm, Wu Tongtian, was also dumbfounded at this moment. The pill concoction methods of this fellow were simply unheard of. The Wu clan, the pill cauldron aristocrat clan. Out of all the medicinal pills in the world, almost half of them originated from the Wu clan. In terms of strength, the Wu clan couldn't be compared to the 4 peak powers. However, they weren't to be underestimated. Nobody was willing to offend the Wu clan because everyone had to consume cultivation resources like medicinal pills. Even Wu Tongtian was shocked to the extreme when he saw Gu Fei concocting pills. There was no need to mention the others. At this moment, the pill cauldron rapidly shrunk and eventually landed in Gu Fei's hands. The pill cauldron was only the size of a fist, yet it attracted countless gazes. "Master, what pill is this?" Zhou Ziru stared at the pill cauldron in Gu Fei's hands as she curiously asked. Emo Xianer, Sword Immortal Clearwind, and the others all pricked up their ears. "This is the 9 Revolutions Heaven Reversal Pill," Gu Fei calmly replied. 9 Revolutions Heaven Reversal Pill? Everyone was shocked. Wu Tongtian was so shocked that he almost fell from the sky. 9 Revolutions Heaven Reversal Pill? According to the legends, this is a supreme immortal pill that can revive a person from the dead. Wu Tongtian exclaimed in shock. Immortal pills were also divided into 9 grades: low grade, mid grade, high grade, and top grade. And the 9 Revolutions Heaven Reversal Pill was a top grade immortal pill. In this immortal martial realm, there was no longer anyone who could concoct such a pill. As for Wu Tongtian, as the Grand Master of the Wu clan, he could only concoct mid-grade immortal pills. He couldn't even concoct high-grade ones. Could it be that this Gu Fei is actually the reincarnation of the legendary Pill Sovereign? Wu Tongtian's voice was trembling. Above the Grand Master was the Pill King. Above the Pill King was the Pill Sovereign, and above the Pill Sovereign was the Pill Saint. According to the legends, Pill Saints were able to concoct godly pills. A single godly pill could allow an ordinary person to transform into an immortal physique, ascending to the heavens in a single step. To think that there's actually someone who knows about the origins of the 9 Revolutions Heaven Reversal Pill. Gu Fei glanced at Wu Tongtian, who was in the air. Master, that's the Grand Master of the Pill Cauldron Aristocrat clan, the Wu clan, Wu Tongtian. Xian Fanyun lowered his head as he spoke. The once lofty heavenly immortal whose name shook the entire immortal martial realm had actually become a green-robed old servant. This caused everyone to feel a sense of surrealism. The Pill Cauldron Aristocrat clan, Wu clan? Gu Fei didn't have any strange expressions on his face when he heard this. The Tao of alchemy and Tao of weaponry, in his eyes, were merely minor Taos. He was originally an unrivaled expert at the eternal realm, capable of destroying an entire heaven and earth with a wave of his hand. Even though his cultivation base had been weakened, he was still in existence that ordinary immortals couldn't compare to. Whoever can destroy the godly saber sect, I will concoct a pill for him. Even if it's a godly pill, it's not a problem, Gu Fei stated. He knew that he had been concocting pills in the Myriad World sect for a total of 49 days, and had already alarmed countless experts. Right now, there was no lack of experts in the vicinity of the Myriad World sect's ancestral grounds. There were even golden immortals spectating from afar. Golden immortals were the strongest existences in the immortal martial realm. What? The moment the words left Gu Fei's mouth, those old antiques couldn't sit still anymore. That was a godly pill, something that only pill saints could concoct in the legends. Especially those that could raise one's cultivation base. Just one was enough to allow a heavenly immortal to break through to the golden immortal realm. Those fellows who had been stuck at the heavenly immortal realm for countless years couldn't wait to kill their way into the godly saber sect and annihilate them. This move of Gu Fei's was indeed powerful. He didn't even need to make a move himself, and there were already people helping him to destroy the godly saber sect. However, the godly saber sect was a major power in the central immortal realms, and they had 3 heavenly immortals guarding them. It wouldn't be an easy task to annihilate them. Even so, there were still people making their move. Boom! An extremely powerful immortal light shot up into the sky, directly disappearing into the void. Someone had directly killed his way into the godly saber sect. The godly saber sect was in for it. No heavenly immortal would be able to resist the temptation of a godly pill. This was especially so for those peak-stage heavenly immortal realm existences. They would go crazy for it, willing to pay any price to obtain it. The godly saber sect was a second-rate power in the central immortal realms. The disciples of the sect cultivated the saber. With a saber in hand, the world is mine. The sect leader of the godly saber sect was definitely the strongest expert in the immortal martial realm in the Tao of the saber sect. There was no one who could be compared to him. Once his tyrannical saber was unleashed, it could break mountains and rivers, slash apart the sun and moon. However, at this moment, the sect leader of the godly saber sect was incomparably terrified. This was because he received a piece of news that caused everyone in the godly saber sect to feel despair. Gu Fei actually wanted to use a godly pill to exchange for the entire godly saber sect. A single godly pill could allow a heavenly immortal realm expert to break through to the golden immortal realm. Upon thinking of this, the sect leader of the godly saber sect, Hubadeo, was stunned. One must know that he was also at the peak stage of the heavenly immortal realm. This godly pill had an irresistible temptation to him. Sect leader, what should we do? This news has already spread to the entire central immortal realms. An elder of the godly saber sect said in horror. The godly saber sect has existed for hundreds of thousands of years. Is it going to be destroyed in our own hands? Hubadeo was extremely depressed. Father, Huihu was shivering at the side. This disaster was caused by him. If he hadn't provoked that Gufei wouldn't have annihilated the godly saber sect. Unfilial son, look at what you've done. Hubadeo waved his right hand. Pa! Huihu was sent flying away, falling onto the ground of the godly saber sect's main hall. Chapter 4064. I didn't expect him to be so powerful. At the peak of the Brahma Pure sect's ancestral grounds, Shinshi stared in the direction of the Myriad World sect as she sighed with emotions. Gufei had once said that the things he wanted, the Brahma Pure sect wouldn't be able to give them. Gufei was right, the things he wanted, the Brahma Pure sect wouldn't be able to give them. At this moment, the news of Gufei wanting the origin energy of heaven and earth had already circulated throughout the central immortal realms. Countless people were shocked, especially those major characters in the immortal martial realm. One must know that if the origin energy of heaven and earth was taken away by someone, the entire realm would slowly move towards destruction. Hence, nothing must happen to the origin energy of the immortal martial realm. When she thought of how Gufei wanted to fight against the entire immortal martial realm alone, Shinshi's heart palpitated. That was the entire immortal martial realm. Wasn't he courting death by making an entire realm his enemy? At this moment, in the ancestral grounds of the Myriad World sect, Gufei was leisurely sipping on his tea. Master, they have been waiting outside for half a day. Are you really not going to meet them? Zhou Ziru asked. I'm not meeting them, Gufei calmly replied. Outside Gufei's residence, there were many people who wanted to meet Gufei. Some wanted to request for Gufei to concoct pills for them, some wanted to take Gufei as their master, and some even wanted to become Gufei's servant. However, regardless of the purpose of these people, Gufei wouldn't meet them. He couldn't be bothered with them. Yes. Zhou Ziru retreated. And at this moment, outside the ancestral grounds of the Godly Blade sect, several mysterious figures appeared. Each and every one of them was extremely powerful, staring down at the heavens with disdain. In the ancestral grounds of the Godly Blade sect, everyone was on their guard. This was especially so for the sect leader of the Godly Blade sect, Hubadeo. Boom! At this moment, a thunderous sound thundered out from the ancestral grounds of the Godly Blade sect, causing the entire place to tremble. Everyone was dumbfounded. From the ancestral grounds of the Godly Blade sect, over 10 incomparably powerful figures rushed out. That is, Hubadeo and the rest of the experts from the Godly Knife sect looked up at the sky. They were extremely shocked. A figure could be seen sitting cross-legged in the air, drawing in the boundless power of the heavens and earth. Thunderous rumbles could be heard from the depths of the sky. That mysterious expert actually attracted countless meteorites. These meteorites directly smashed down from the starry sky, directly rubbing against the air, and all the meteorites started burning in the air. One thought to move stars. Are you a senior expert from Star Palace? Hubadeo stared at the figure and said coldly. The man did not speak. Another meteorite fell from the sky and directly hit the defensive formation of the ancestral land of the Divine Knife sect, causing an earth-shattering explosion. The defensive matrix of the entire Godly Knife sect's ancestral land was shaking. In the void, a huge light shield appeared, and countless ancient patterns appeared on the light shield. Damn it! Hubadeo was furious. He opened his mouth and spat out a blade light. Buzz! Everyone could only hear the buzzing of the divine blade. Then, an extremely brilliant blade light soared into the sky and slashed at the figure in the sky. Wherever the blade light passed, heaven and earth seemed to be split in half. Countless meteorites that fell from the starry sky exploded. High up in the sky, flames soared into the sky. Seal! The mysterious figure drew in the power of the stars, and the entire void immediately froze. Boundless starlight appeared in the void, as though a star region had appeared in front of everyone's eyes. Boom! The incomparably resplendent saber light directly exploded in front of the mysterious expert, only to see a mass of starlight enveloping the mysterious expert. Hubedeo's blade could not break the star realm surrounding the mysterious expert, nor could it hurt the mysterious expert at all. Hubedeo was the leader of the Godly Knife sect, an expert at the peak of Fairy Immortal. With a single blade, mountains and rivers would shatter, and stars would fall. However, such a powerful blade could not break the mysterious expert's Fairy Immortal realm. The mysterious expert's cultivation was definitely above Hubedeo's. He was at least a half-step Golden Immortal, or even a Golden Immortal. Blade formation! Hubedeo roared. The dozen experts of the Godly Knife sect beside him immediately dispersed. Boom! Incomparably brilliant blade light rushed out from each of them. Each of them was like a peerless heavenly blade that was suddenly unsheathed. Terrifying blade energy spread out, shaking the heaven and earth. 18 people instantly formed a blade formation. Countless formation runes were faintly discernible in the void. Hubedeo stood in the center of the formation. His white hair was fluttering wildly in the wind. His chi kept rising, and very soon, it broke through the limit of Fairy Immortal. Blade, come! Hubedeo stretched out his right hand. In the ancestral land of the Godly Knife sect, the sound of a blade resounded through the 9 heavens. Then, a mountain peak exploded with a boom! Blade light soared into the sky. A divine blade rushed out from the exploded mountain peak and fell into Hubedeo's hand in an instant. The moment the divine blade was in his hand, Hubedeo's chi immediately became overbearing to the extreme. His might suppressed the heaven and earth, shaking the universe. It was as if he could destroy the heaven and earth with a single blade. At this moment, Hubedeo was truly overbearing. Chapter 4065. The old man on the goat looked very ordinary, with half a foot in the grave. However, his appearance caused the entire heaven and earth to fall silent. Hubedeo was even more dumbfounded. You! Hubedeo's voice was trembling. Kill yourself, I can leave your corpse intact. The old man on the goat indifferently spoke. What? Hubedeo's fear reached the extreme. To think that this person is still alive! From afar, those ancient existences were also shocked to the extreme because they had already recognized the origin of this old man. Even an existence like you is willing to sell your life to Gu Fei for a divine pill? Hubedeo was shocked, enraged, and unwilling. No one can make me sell my life. I only sell my life to myself. The old man emotionlessly replied. Sell your life to yourself? Hubedeo started when he heard that. He recalled a legend. This person should have fallen during the dark ages of the immortal martial realm. However, he survived. Maybe he had paid an unimaginable price to survive. Flame Monarch, what do you want? Hubedeo calmed himself down. He wielded the immortal extinguishing saber and sat in the center of the killing formation, frenziedly activating the formation. Energy fluctuations of a golden immortal erupted forth from him, causing the entire space to tremble. The juniors nowadays. AI! The old man helplessly shook his head. Flaunting your seniority, wanting me to kill myself? Do you think you are an immortal sovereign? Hubedeo coldly spoke. How can an old man like me be an immortal sovereign? But I can still destroy the Godly Blade sect. The Flame Monarch didn't even bother to glance at Hubedeo. This fellow actually dares to challenge the Flame Monarch? From afar, those ancient existences who were spectating were indescribably shocked. This Flame Monarch was a supreme expert who had survived the Dark Ages. In the entire immortal martial realm, there weren't many existences like him. The Flame Monarch was a hegemon of a region during the Dark Ages. He had once conquered the world and was a supreme expert who had the qualifications to participate in the struggle for supremacy. However, that struggle almost destroyed the entire immortal martial realm. Those who survived used their last bit of strength to seal the source energy of the immortal martial realm in the central immortal realms. Fiery King was an immortal lord, but now, he wanted to destroy the Godly Blade sect. If my guess is correct, you want the divine elixir to extend your life. Hubedeo sneered. Otherwise, why would Fiery King attack the Godly Knife Gate? Noisy! Fiery King immediately sent a slap towards Hubadeo. Kill! Hubadeo roared and slashed at Fiery King with the celestial extinguishing saber in his hand. The immortal saber light flashed across the void like lightning. Clang! Fiery King's fingers swept across the blade of the immortal exterminating saber, and a metallic sound was heard. Hubadeo only felt a violent jolt in his hands that were holding the saber. The extinguished immortal saber in his hands almost flew out of his hands and his palms were split open. Amazing! Hubadeo was shocked to the extreme. His fleshly body could take on a golden immortal-grade immortal weapon. Just how strong was this fellow's fleshly body? At this time, the other 17 elders of the Divine Path sect who formed the killing formation roared at the same time. Tyrannical power crazily converged toward Hubadeo, who was in the center of the formation. An extremely overbearing pressure burst out from Hubadeo's body and shook heaven and earth. Roar! Hubadeo wielded the celestial exterminating saber in his hand and slashed at Fiery King's head with all his might. The slash was even more powerful than the one that had killed the mysterious expert from Star Palace. The slash was so powerful that heaven and earth were destroyed. The destructive aura filled the universe. However, at the very next moment, Hubadeo was shocked to death by the scene in front of him. Fiery King, who was riding on the old goat, extended his right hand and grabbed the celestial exterminating saber. Everyone was dumbfounded. Fiery King had completely ignored the celestial exterminating saber in Hubadeo's hand. The extremely sharp celestial exterminating saber couldn't even cut Fiery King's flesh. In actual fact, if one were to look closely, one would realize that there was a layer of runes on Fiery King's right hand. The runes were deep into his flesh and bones. Fiery King snatched the celestial exterminating saber from Hubadeo's hand. Then, with one slash, Hubadeo's head flew up. The master of the Divine Knife sect was beheaded by an old man just like that. Virum! There was a flash of saber light. Fiery King rode on his old goat and charged into the fatal saber formation. With one slash, he killed all 17 elders of the Divine Knife sect. In the end, he opened his mouth and inhaled. He swallowed the power of the fatal formation that exploded into his body. There was a hideous crack in between Fiery King's eyebrows. There was a terrifying crimson light that was seeping out from the crack. The very next moment, the crack disappeared as though it had never been there. Hubadeo made a wrong judgment this time. Even if Fiery King had an internal injury, he wouldn't be able to handle it. An old antique sighed. Fiery King was the god of massacre in that era. The Divine Knife sect is about to become a thing of the past. Someone muttered from afar. There was no suspense in what happened next because no one dared to be presumptuous in front of Fiery King, let alone jump out to challenge Fiery King. Even someone as strong as Hubadeo died in the hands of Fiery King, let alone the others. Swoosh! Fiery King split the entire ancestral land of the Divine Knife sect with one slash. There was a 1,000-mile crack on the ground and it was bottomless. Seeing this scene, everyone's eyeballs almost popped out of their sockets. Fiery King had returned and destroyed the Divine Knife sect with one slash. When the news spread, all the major forces in the central celestial realm were dumbfounded. They thought that the one Tao immortal who had fallen for countless years was still alive and had destroyed the Divine Knife sect. After Fiery King destroyed the Divine Knife sect, he disappeared. However, everyone knew that he was going to the ancestral land of the Thousand World sect to look for Gu Fei. All the cultivation resources in the ancestral land of the Divine Knife sect had been taken away by Fiery King. They were his spoils of war, so he would not let anyone else take advantage of them. However, the territory of the Divine Knife sect was huge. Apart from the ancestral land, there were also many cultivation resources in other places. The forces near the Divine Knife sect were the first to attack them. Everyone wanted a piece of this fat piece of meat. The vice sect leader of the Brahma Pure sect personally led the experts of the Brahma Pure sect and took down 19 cities of the Divine Knife sect in one go. Of course, the fat piece of meat that was the Divine Knife sect naturally fell into the hands of the heavenly sects and religions. The Brahmapure sect only obtained some insignificant benefits from it. While the forces were fighting for the territory of the Divine Knife sect, an old man riding on an old goat slowly appeared on the horizon and walked towards the ancestral land of the Thousand Worlds sect. Halt! When the old man arrived near the ancestral land of the Thousand Worlds sect, a middle-aged man in green robes rushed out from the ancestral land and blocked the old man's path. Scram! The old man waved his hand, and the middle-aged man flew away, disappearing without a trace in the blink of an eye. The old man riding on the goat was none other than Fiery King. Fiery King directly barged into the ancestral land of the All-World sect. Even though an elder of the All-World sect made a move, he was still caught by Fiery King as if he was grabbing a chicken, and then threw him out of sight. Boom! The defensive formation of the ancestral land of the Thousand Worlds sect was activated, and a layer of divine light enveloped the entire ancestral land. Powerful energy fluctuations spread out in all directions. At this time, the disciples of the Thousand Worlds sect were already in chaos. Someone actually dared to attack the Thousand Worlds sect at this time? Was he trying to make an enemy out of Gu Fei? And on a divine mountain, Zairu raised her head to look at the man and the goat in the sky. She frowned. This person dared to attack the ancestral land of the Thousand Worlds sect. He was clearly not putting her master, Gu Fei, in his eyes. Interesting. Amo Siener stood beside Zairu, and a cold smile appeared on her face as she looked at the old man riding on the goat. A mass of tribulation clouds enveloped the entire mountain peak. Pill tribulation! It's the legendary pill tribulation! Someone exclaimed in shock. Rumble! A blinding bolt of lightning descended from the skies, directly blasting the divine pill in the cauldron. This was simply like a living being undergoing a tribulation. This type of tribulation lightning was even more powerful than the heavenly tribulation of cultivators. Lightning flashed unceasingly as a total of 81 bolts of lightning rained down from the skies. A sparkling and translucent divine pill appeared in the air. The cauldron formed from the boundless spiritual chi of heaven and earth dissipated in the air. This is... High up in the skies, Fiery King, who was riding on the old goat, had a strange glow in his eyes. The process of Gu Fei's pill concoction was simply too shocking. This was simply a pill formation with a single word. From the ancient times until now, there had never been a single alchemist in the immortal martial realm who could achieve such a feat naturally. The pill concoction technique that Gu Fei had mastered wasn't something that could be produced in the immortal martial realm. This was the pill concoction technique of an even higher tier alchemist. Gu Fei extended his right hand and the god tier pill in the air immediately flew towards him. He grabbed it in his hand. Samsara pill, not bad! Gu Fei glanced at the pill in his hand as he nodded his head. Although he wasn't very satisfied, the quality of this pill was already not bad. This is the pill you wanted! Gu Fei directly threw the Samsara pill in his hand to Fiery King. At this moment, Fiery King was incomparably agitated. This was a supreme divine pill that could allow him to live a second life. Fiery King was about to catch the pill that Gu Fei threw over. However, at this moment, a silhouette suddenly appeared without any warning and directly grabbed the pill in his hand. Roar! Seeing this scene, Fiery King almost went crazy. There was actually someone who dared to snatch his Samsara pill. Wasn't this asking for his life? How preposterous! A heaven-shaking killing intent erupted as Fiery King directly attacked. 5 beams of light from his fingers were like 5 divine chains, entangling towards the mysterious silhouette. Old ghost, you are courting death! Fiery King attacked with all his might. The energy fluctuations from his hands shook the heavens and earth. The moment he attacked, the entire space was sealed. That mysterious silhouette exuded a dark aura, as though he was an evil ghost that crawled out from the depths of hell. Ha ha! That mysterious silhouette laughed loudly and directly vanished into thin air, vanishing without a trace. The 5 beams of light that shot out from Fiery King's hands didn't even touch the clothes of that mysterious silhouette. 9 nether evasion art? Fiery King was about to go crazy from anger. That samsara pill belonged to him. "I will annihilate your netherworld race!" Fiery King roared to the heavens. The old goat he was riding on was howling as well. In the immortal martial realm, among the peak powers in the central immortal realms, there was still the netherworld race. They were the demons. They were extremely powerful and could contend against the other peak powers. The person who snatched the samsara pill from Fiery King was none other than the old ancestor of the netherworld race, the netherworld old ancestor. There was no doubt that the netherworld old ancestor was powerful because he dared to snatch the samsara pill that Fiery King was using to prolong his life. Rumble! Fiery King directly broke through the void and killed his way to the ancestral grounds of the netherworld race, vowing to snatch the samsara pill back. "There's going to be a good show to watch," someone exclaimed in incomparable shock. There was no doubt that Fiery King was powerful. One must know that he was a powerful existence that annihilated the Divine Saber sect with a flick of his fingers. At this moment, what made countless people shocked was that Gu Fei was actually able to concoct a divine pill. He was actually a divine alchemist. How was this possible? However, Gu Fei actually concocted the samsara pill in front of everyone. Fiery King wouldn't team up with Gu Fei to put on a show. Gu Fei didn't act. He had already concocted the samsara pill for Fiery King. It wasn't his responsibility if the pill was snatched away. The news of Gu Fei being able to concoct a pill with a single word soon circulated around the entire central immortal realms. Countless cultivators were shocked to the extreme. Concocting a pill with a single word, such a method was simply unimaginable. Those heavenly sects and divine sects in the central immortal realms directly sent envoys to contact Gu Fei, wanting Gu Fei to concoct pills for them. "Master, the people from the Long clan are here. Do you want to meet them?" "No." "Master, the people from the Xian clan are here. Do you want to meet them?" "No." Star Palace, Warlord Hall, and other top forces in the central immortal realms all sent their envoys. Even the forces that held grudges against Gu Fei sent their envoys. The divine pill was extremely precious. Star Palace, Warlord Hall, and other top forces were willing to bury the hatchet with Gu Fei for the divine pill. However, Gu Fei didn't want to meet anyone. Very quickly, countless experts appeared around the Wan World sect. The top 10 top forces had arrived at the same time. Suddenly, the entire area was extremely tense. Peerless figures continuously appeared near the Wan World sect. The people from the second-rate forces had all retreated. They couldn't interfere anymore. The game between the super forces could easily destroy the world. If they didn't retreat, they would be courting death if they stayed. What are they trying to do? In the ancestral ground of the Wan World sect, all the disciples of the Wan World sect were terrified. They want to use force? Chapter 4067. This time around, not only the Long clan, Xian clan, Star Palace, and the War God Hall, even the other 6 peak powers of the central immortal realms were here. Under the watchful eyes of everyone, Gu Fei concocted the samsara divine pill for the Flame Lord. This pill could only be concocted by legendary divine pill refiners. Divine pill refiners, even in the immortal martial realm, they were already extinct. The 10 peak powers of the central immortal martial realm all appeared outside the ancestral grounds of the Myriad World sect. Their purpose was very clear. They wanted to force Gu Fei to lower his head. If they could control Gu Fei, they would be able to make Gu Fei concoct endless divine pills for them. However, the prerequisite was that they had to defeat Gu Fei first. If not, everything would be for naught. Among the 10 peak powers of the central immortal realms, the Long clan wasn't the strongest. This was because they didn't have any golden immortals guarding them. They only had golden immortal Dao treasures or even immortal Emperor Dao treasures. In the distant past, the Long family had produced an invincible Dragon Emperor. Although the Dragon Emperor had disappeared, he had left behind a dragon scale. That was the unique reverse scale on the Dragon Emperor's body. The reason why the Long clan was able to sit at the peak of the central immortal realms was because of the Dragon Emperor's supreme treasure. Naturally, among the 10 peak powers, there were only a few with golden immortals guarding them. As for those without golden immortals, they still had immortal Emperor Tao treasures. If there were no internal problems that shook the foundations of these forces, it would be impossible for these forces to be suppressed by other forces. The 10 peak powers controlled the central immortal realms as well as the source energy of heaven and earth. One could say that the 10 peak powers controlled the fate of the entire immortal martial realm. They were the true rulers of the immortal martial realm. At this moment, in the ancestral grounds of the Myriad World sect, Mo Siener, Zhou Zairu and the rest could no longer sit still. One must know that this time around, the 10 peak powers of the central immortal realms had joined forces to attack. Such a force was sufficient to sweep through the entire immortal martial realm. In the face of such a powerful force, who could resist? The sect leader of the Myriad World sect was also stunned. He didn't expect that the 10 peak powers would join forces. The Myriad World sect was merely a second-rate power. Any one of them could easily annihilate it. Sect Master, what should we do? In a small valley within the Myriad World sect's ancestral grounds, the higher-ups of the Myriad World sect were all gathered here. At this time, everyone in the small valley was looking at the mystic transformation Heavenly Immortal, waiting for his response. What else can we do? Chapter 4068. Chief Long was an old ancestor of the Long clan who had lived for countless years. He started his career much earlier than the sect master of the Myriad World sect. Even a mystic transformation Heaven Immortal would have to address himself as a junior in front of Lord Dragon, and would not dare to be arrogant. At this moment, Chief Long was representing the 10 major factions of the central immortal realm. No one knew what he was up to. The profound celestial immortal was very curious. The profound celestial immortal personally brought Chief Long to the mountain where Gu Fei was. Master, I have brought him here. The dark form Heaven Immortal knelt down respectfully towards Gu Fei, who was sitting cross-legged on the boulder. Chief Long, on the other hand, still had a smile on his face. He stood quietly to the side and did not kneel before Gu Fei. Rise! Gu Fei's gaze landed on Chief Long. You're Gu Fei? You can concoct divine pills? Chief Long smiled as he looked at Gu Fei, who was sitting cross-legged on the boulder. I'm the real deal, Gu Fei said. Haha, alright, then I'll get straight to the point. The 10 major clans and sects would like to invite you to be our worshipper and concoct pills for us. How about it? Before Gu Fei could speak, the profound celestial immortal was already extremely shocked. Worshipper of the 10 clans? This was something that had never happened in the history of the central immortal realm. Not interested, Gu Fei said indifferently. What? The profound celestial immortal and Qi Feng's sword immortal were both stunned. Their master was not interested in being the worshipper of the 10 clans? One should know that the position of worshipper of the 10 clans was definitely comparable to the sect master or clan master of any of the 10 clans. It was an extremely revered position. The smile on Chief Long's face froze for a moment, but he quickly recovered. Taoist Gu, don't you want to think about it? Chief Long asked. Go back and tell those people that if they obediently give me the source energy of heaven and earth, I will spare their lives. Gu Fei's face was expressionless. You! This time, Chief Long was really frightened by Gu Fei's words. He couldn't help but be shocked and angry, and the smile on his face also seemed to stiffen. The mystic transformation Celestial Immortal and the Clear Wind Sword Immortal were extremely shocked. Their master actually wanted the 10 major powers to hand over the world's essence? How was this possible? The source energy of heaven and earth was the lifeblood of the 10 transcendent powers. It was the foundation that allowed them to continue ruling over the entire immortal martial realm. If they lost the source energy of heaven and earth, the 10 transcendent powers would definitely crumble apart. Fellow Taoist Gu, do you know the consequences of refusing? Chief Long smiled faintly and narrowed his eyes at Gu Fei. It was as if the real 9 Heavens Black Dragon had appeared in the world, releasing one's yuan qi to take the form of a dragon. This was a mystique that only peak heavenly immortals could possess. In the next moment, the mystic transformation heavenly immortal also made his move. He dashed out, and the two figures collided with each other. A muffled explosion that sounded like thunder shook the void. The shadow of the dragon dissipated, and the two figures instantly separated, then quickly collided again. The muffled explosion resounded a total of 9 times, and the mystic transformation heavenly immortal and mad dragon great sovereign also collided 9 times. Each time, it was as if 2 huge mountains were colliding. Everyone's mind was shaken. This was the most direct and purest battle between martial physiques. The stronger one would win. Simple and direct. How is this possible? Mad Dragon Great Sovereign is a peak heavenly immortal body cultivator, and his black dragon body tempering art has already reached the point of perfection. How can this mystic transformation heavenly immortal fight evenly with him? Someone exclaimed in shock. Bam! Kacha! At this time, the mystic transformation heavenly immortal's fist landed heavily on Mad Dragon Great Sovereign's chest. The violent fist energy exploded tenfold, and a large hole appeared in Mad Dragon Great Sovereign's chest, nearly splitting him into 2. Seeing this scene, the entire place fell silent. No one dared to speak. Mad Dragon Great Sovereign lost? Everyone was in disbelief. One had to know that he was the strongest body cultivator in the Long clan. How is this possible? Chapter 4069. Mad Dragon Supreme Venerate was the strongest body cultivator in the Long family of the Central Immortal Domain. He was a peak heavenly immortal body cultivator, and his immortal body was as strong as a golden immortal's. Even the strongest heavenly immortal Tao treasure could only leave a mark on Mad Dragon Supreme Venerate's body. But now, a profound transformation heavenly immortal had punched through Mad Dragon Supreme Venerate's immortal body. The blood that splattered out and the bloody hole in his chest could not be faked. Mad Dragon Supreme Venerate lost? Everyone who witnessed this scene was stunned. The 10 major forces had just started fighting, and a profound transformation heavenly immortal had already dealt a blow. The people of the Long family seemed to be getting more and more useless. Atop a mountain, the dark hell demon lord, who was shrouded in demonic chi, sneered. What did you say? On another mountain, the dragon lord, who was wearing a golden battle suit and wielding a golden battle spear, looked at the dark hell demon lord. A powerful pressure erupted from his body, and the phantom of a golden battle dragon appeared indistinctly on his body. He was the only one on the entire mountain, because he was simply too strong. Moreover, he was wearing the golden battle dragon armor, a golden immortal Tao treasure. This was a supreme treasure of the Long family. When the dragon lord wore the golden battle dragon armor, he could fight golden immortals. Even the golden immortals of the other forces were wary of him. Isn't that so? The dark hell demon lord said disdainfully. What? You want to fight? The dragon lord stared at the dark hell demon lord on the opposite mountain, and his eyes turned extremely sharp. Humph! If you want to fight, let's fight. Who's afraid of who? The dark hell demon lord looked at the dragon lord with a sinister smile. Although the two of them stood on different mountains and were separated by more than 10 miles, the space between them seemed to be frozen. A terrifying demonic shadow emerged from the dark hell demon lord's body, and the entire world suddenly turned cold. The dark hell demon lord was the number 1 person of the dark hell tribe. Even the patriarch of the dark hell tribe was weaker than him. This dark hell demon lord was a golden immortal. Among the 10 major forces, the dark hell tribe was a powerful tribe with a golden immortal. Alright, let's get rid of that Gufei first. High up in the sky, the white-haired, white-browed young man said impatiently. The netherworld demon lord glanced at the young man in the sky and said, This demon lord will give Dao friend Qin Yun some face today and won't argue with you. Humph! The dragon lord only sneered twice and did not say anything. Although the white-haired, white-browed young man looked young, he was actually a super antique. He was a peerless expert from the same generation as the Fiery King. Even Fiery King would be stunned when he saw him. Even in ancient times, Tao Master Qin Yun was a peerless existence. The Qingyun Dao sect was the strongest sect in the central immortal realms of the immortal martial realm. It was a sect that had existed since ancient times, and its foundation was so deep that it was hard for others to imagine it. The Green Cloud Taoist was known as the #1 expert in the immortal martial realm. This was also the reason why even the Netherworld Devil Lord was so wary of him. Because the Netherworld Devil Lord wasn't a match for the Green Cloud Taoist. Kill! At this moment, in the air above the Myriad World sect, the battle between the Mystic Transformation Heavenly Immortal and the Mad Dragon's Supremacy had already reached its climax. The Mad Dragon's Supremacy roared madly as the bloody hole in his chest rapidly healed. The flesh and bones of the Mad Dragon's Supremacy trembled unceasingly, emitting the sound of metal rubbing against metal. New flesh and bones were rapidly regenerating. Mad Dragon's Supremacy, surrender obediently and I will spare your life. The Mystic Transformation Heavenly Immortal coldly stared at the Mad Dragon's Supremacy as he coldly spoke. What? The Mad Dragon's Supremacy was infuriated. This fellow actually dared to underestimate him. Little Mystic Transformation, when this daddy roamed the world unhindered, you were still playing with mud. You actually dared to be so arrogant in front of this daddy? The Mad Dragon's Supremacy raged. Humph, stop flaunting your seniority in front of this sect lord. Whoever's fist is harder will be the boss. The weak are prey to the strong, this is the truth. The Mystic Transformation Heavenly Immortal said in disdain. Good, good, good. Ha ha. The Mad Dragon's Supremacy was so angry that he started laughing. The blood around his wound seemed to be burning, as though he was bathing in divine flames. Long family's great blood ignition art? The Mystic Transformation Heavenly Immortal couldn't help but be shocked. The energy fluctuations on the Mad Dragon's Supremacy's body continued to rise, and an extremely domineering pressure spread in all directions. The entire heaven and earth shook. In just an instant, the injuries on the Mad Dragon's Supremacy's body were completely healed. Master, this secret technique seems to be very powerful, Zhou Zyra said to Gu Fei on the peak of the mountain where Gu Fei was in the Myriad World sect's ancestral land. It's just a bloodline ignition technique. Even if the Mad Dragon's Supremacy defeats the Profound Transformation Heavenly Immortal, he will still be half dead, Gu Fei said disapprovingly. He had mastered the 9 secrets of the Immortal Tao, but the secret art displayed by the Mad Dragon's Supremacy was far inferior to the 9 secrets of the Immortal Tao, the Heaven Ascension secret art. Gu Fei, you said that the Profound Transformation Heavenly Immortal will lose? Mo Xian'er, who was standing at the side, suddenly said. No, my undying God Pill can raise his battle prowess to the golden immortal realm, and maintain it for half an hour, Gu Fei said indifferently. If the Profound Transformation Heavenly Immortal couldn't defeat the Mad Dragon's Supremacy in half an hour, he could only say that he was an idiot. Sword Immortal Clearwind, who was standing at the side, couldn't help but click his tongue when he heard that. Master was really too powerful. A single God Pill could raise a Profound Transformation Heavenly Immortal's battle prowess to the golden immortal realm, and maintain it for half an hour? To Sword Immortal Clearwind, this was absolutely unimaginable. Zhou Zyru and Mo Xian'er had been following Gu Fei for a long time, but they weren't too surprised because Gu Fei had already created many miracles. Kill! At this moment, high up in the sky, Mad Dragon Great Sovereign roared in anger. His long hair fluttered wildly in the wind as he punched out with all his might towards the Mystic Transformation Celestial Immortal. The instant his right hand struck out, the clothes on his upper body instantly exploded. The Mad Dragon's Supremacy's punch was like the collapse of heaven and earth, the fall of the sun and moon. It was tyrannical to the extreme, and the vast and mighty fist energy directly caused the void to explode. Come at me! The Mystic Transformation Heavenly Immortal let out a long roar and also threw out a punch. Compared to Mad Dragon Great Sovereign's punch, his punch seemed a little insignificant. Boom! The two fists collided in an instant. In the next moment, spatial ripples visible to the naked eye spread out in all directions with the two fists as the center. Wherever the ripples passed, countless cracks appeared in the void. Roar, Mad Dragon shakes the 9 heavens. The Mad Dragon's Supremacy fiercely exerted his strength. His fist actually increased by several times, and the explosive power directly shattered the cracked void of heaven and earth. The profound transformation heavenly immortal roared in anger, and was directly sent flying several dozen li away. His entire arm was shaken into a bloody mist. Seeing this scene, everyone was dumbfounded. The profound transformation heavenly immortal had heavily injured the mad dragon's supremacy with a single punch, but now, the mad dragon's supremacy had actually destroyed the profound transformation heavenly immortal's entire right arm with a single punch. The Long Clan's great blood ignition art is indeed worthy of being one of the top techniques in the immortal martial realm. The profound transformation heavenly immortal smiled bitterly. This mad dragon's supremacy was after all an expert of the older generation. His combat prowess and combat experience were truly not something ordinary people could compare to. In addition to the Long Clan's great blood ignition art, the mad dragon's supremacy's combat prowess had already reached the golden immortal realm. In this case, it was unknown who would win and who would lose. Humph! Little profound transformation heavenly immortal, you still dare to be arrogant in front of me? The mad dragon's supremacy spoke with incomparable arrogance. Hee, do you think you can defeat me with just this? The profound transformation heavenly immortal suddenly laughed. What? At this moment, the mad dragon's supremacy was greatly shocked. The profound transformation heavenly immortal's severed arm was actually rapidly recovering. In just a few breaths of time, his right arm had completely recovered, as though it had never been injured. How is this possible? Everyone who saw this scene was dumbfounded. The speed at which the profound transformation heavenly immortal's arm recovered was actually faster than the mad dragon's supremacy's recovery speed. Kill! The profound transformation heavenly immortal once again charged at the mad dragon's supremacy. The two experts were like two ancient gods in a great battle. Terrifying shockwaves spread out, causing the stars in the sky to tremble. Boom! Bam! A muffled sound of collision rang out. Two figures were instantly sent flying, and immortal blood sprinkled down from the sky. Mad Dragon's supremacy has met his match this time. On the mountain peak outside the myriad world sexed ancestral ground, Dragon Lord, who was clad in the golden battle dragon divine armor, stared at the two figures in the sky with a solemn expression. Long Tianqing was no match for the Mad Dragon's supremacy. Mad Dragon's supremacy was one of the strongest existences in the Long Clan. This profound transformation heavenly immortal was merely the sect leader of a second-rate force, the Myriad World Sect. How could he be Mad Dragon Supremacy's opponent? But why did this profound transformation heavenly immortal's combat prowess suddenly increase to such an extent? Could it be his doing? Dragon Lord couldn't help but look towards a mountain peak in the Myriad World Sect's ancestral ground. The 10 strongest forces of the central immortal domain had joined forces to surround the Myriad World Sect's ancestral ground. They initially thought that Gu Fei would agree to their conditions, but who would have thought that Gu Fei would directly reject them? In the eyes of the 10 strongest forces, Gu Fei wouldn't dare to go against them. But the result left them in disbelief. Gu Fei actually wanted to go against the 10 strongest forces single-handedly. Hey, Dragon Lord, if your people can't do it, then let my people do it. Don't waste everyone's time. Dark-held Devil Lord said disdainfully. Shut your mouth. Dragon Lord was already in a bad mood. Now that Dark-held Devil Lord was provoking him, he was naturally enraged. Boom! At this time, Mad Dragon's supremacy was directly stomped down from the sky by the profound transformation heavenly immortal. 2 figures fell from the sky, directly crashing into the Myriad World Sect's ancestral ground. Boom! A mountain peak was directly smashed apart, sending a cloud of dust high up into the sky. At this time, the Myriad World Sect's ancestral ground's defensive grand formation had already stopped operating. Kill! 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 In the next moment, numerous powerful figures rushed out from the surroundings of the Myriad World Sect's ancestral ground, directly attacking the Myriad World Sect's ancestral ground. Chapter 4070. The grand defensive formation of the Myriad World Sect's ancestral grounds had actually stopped operating, causing the 10 major powers to be both shocked and overjoyed. Kill! Without any hesitation, the experts of the 10 major powers charged out from the mountain ridges near the myriad world sect's ancestral grounds. Boom! A gigantic heavenly cauldron appeared in the air above the myriad world sect's ancestral grounds. As the cauldron turned upside down, boundless heavenly fire gushed out from it. The entire sky was instantly enveloped by the towering divine fire. Within the divine fire, there were 9 balls of divine light that emitted boundless fiery light, as though 9 divine suns had appeared in the sky at the same time. The temperature of the entire heavens and earth rose rapidly, and all the cultivators in the ancestral grounds felt as though they were placed in a furnace. In just an instant, their entire bodies were drenched in sweat. Everyone felt as though their blood and chi were about to be ignited. Their mouths were parched, and they felt extremely uncomfortable. This is... On the mountain peak where Gu Fei was at, the clear wind-sword immortal, who was standing below a huge boulder, couldn't help but turn pale with fright when he saw this scene. It's the Xian clan's 9-yang heaven refining cauldron! Long Tianxing, who was standing under the boulder, exclaimed. 9-yang heaven refining cauldron? Gu Fei furrowed his brows. That immortal weapon in the sky was merely a golden immortal grade Dao weapon. How could it be able to refine the heavens? These fellows from the immortal martial realm were truly frogs at the bottom of a well. Of course, the might displayed by the 9-yang heaven refining cauldron was nothing in Gu Fei's eyes, as he could break it with a flick of his finger. But in the eyes of the cultivators from the immortal martial realm, it was akin to burning the heavens and boiling the seas, shocking them to the extreme. Xianju, go ahead! Gu Fei calmly commanded. Yes, master! An old man in black standing below the boulder hurriedly accepted the order and soared up into the air. A divine light akin to water appeared around his body as he directly rushed into the boundless divine fire descending from the sky. Xianju was one of the 5 heavenly immortals of the myriad world sect. One of them was unwilling to submit to Gu Fei and was killed by Gu Fei with a flick of his finger. Now, only 4 heavenly immortals remained. Xianju was one of the 4 heavenly immortals of the myriad world sect. Boom! The moment Xianju charged into the sea of fire, the entire sea of fire began to boil. An endless amount of black water appeared in the sea of fire. Wherever the black water passed, the divine flames that were powerful enough to burn the heavens and boil the seas were all extinguished. What? A silhouette sitting cross-legged on the 9-yang heavenly refining cauldron suddenly opened his eyes. Where did Gu Fei get his hands on so many golden immortal grade immortal treasures? To the experts of the immortal martial realm, this was simply unimaginable. But to Gu Fei, these immortal treasures were no different from trash. Only supreme Dao treasures or even eternal Dao treasures would be able to enter his eyes. In his inner world, there were many immortal treasures that were much better than golden immortal grade immortal treasures. But even if he gave them to Mo Xianer, she wouldn't be able to use them. These are all for me? Mo Xian exclaimed in shock. If you like them, just take them all. Gu Fei casually waved his hands as he spoke. Ha! Mo Xianer was in ecstasy as she hurriedly moved forward to collect the 10 golden immortal grade immortal treasures. One must know that these were golden immortal grade immortal treasures, the strongest immortal treasures in the immortal martial realm. If immortal emperor grade immortal treasures didn't appear, golden immortal grade immortal treasures would already be invincible. At this moment, in the air, the battle between Xianju and Xian Fifan had already reached the point where the victor would be determined. 2 golden immortal grade immortal treasures clashed unceasingly. Boom! Bang! Heavy sounds of collision shook the heavens and earth. Every time these 2 energies collided, the void would be shattered, leaving behind a black hole. Xuanwu versus Golden Crow, the Xuanwu imprint clashed against the 9-yang heaven refining cauldron. When the 2 supreme golden immortal grade energies erupted, all the cultivators of the myriad world sect were trembling in fear. Boom! A thunderous sound rang out as the 2 golden immortal grade immortal treasures clashed against each other again. This time around, the 9-yang heaven refining cauldron was actually flung away by the Xuanwu imprint. Upon seeing this scene, everyone was stunned. The 9-yang heaven refining cauldron of the Xian clan was a famous immortal treasure in the central immortal realms. It had once killed a golden immortal. Chapter 4071. Xian Fifan was the younger brother of the Xian family's patriarch. He was a half-step golden immortal and a genius of Xian family. However, this genius of Xian family was sent flying away along with the 9-yang heaven refining cauldron, coughing out blood. How is this possible? Xian Fifan couldn't accept this. He was sent flying away by a puny elder of the Myriad World sect. This shocked and angered him at the same time. Go to hell! Xianju activated the seal of the Black Tortoise. A violent power burst out from the seal of the Black Tortoise. The seal of the Black Tortoise flew out from his hand and turned into a black tortoise that was even bigger than a mountain. The mountain-like Black Tortoise shook the void of the heaven and earth. What? Xian Fifan was shocked. He hastily activated the 9-yang heaven refining cauldron. 9 golden crows emerged from the body of the cauldron. Boom! Before the golden crows could fly out from the cauldron, the huge black tortoise had already pounced on the cauldron. In the next moment, cracks appeared on the surface of the cauldron. Roar! Xian Fifan roared furiously. However, at this moment, he was completely suppressed. He couldn't fight back even if he wanted to. Following a loud bang, the 9-yang heaven refining cauldron was sent flying away again. This time, numerous cracks appeared on the surface of the cauldron, as if it could break at any time. Xian Fifan, who was hiding in the cauldron, coughed out blood. He knew very well that if his opponent could break the 9-yang heaven refining cauldron, he would die along with the cauldron. Stop! Just when Xianju was about to attack again to kill Xian Fifan, a furious roar was heard nearby. Then, a silhouette appeared in the sky. Kill! Xianju didn't pay any attention to the silhouette. He activated the Black Tortoise seal and charged towards Xian Fifan. A huge black tortoise shadow appeared once again. An extremely terrifying energy burst out from the Black Tortoise shadow, causing countless cracks to appear in the surrounding void. However, what happened next shocked Xianju. A large hand reached out from the side and grabbed the Black Tortoise's shadow. The Black Tortoise shadow dissipated and was caught by the huge hand. What? Xianju's shock was not to be underestimated. In the next moment, a powerful force came and sent him flying. Hand of Heaven? On the mountain where Gu Fei was, Long Tianxing exclaimed when he saw this. It was a mystical ability of the Qiyun Dao sect. It seemed that the experts of the Qiyun Dao sect had attacked. I want this immortal artifact! A voice rang out. After that, the gigantic hand holding onto the Black Tortoise seal dissipated as a silhouette appeared in the sky. He held a celestial seal in his right hand and looked at Xianju arrogantly. It was a very young man with a jade-like face and sword-like eyebrows. He was looking at Xianju with disdain. Yi Tianlong? When Xianju saw him, he couldn't help but be shocked. He was the strongest existence in the Qiyun Dao sect apart from Dao Lord Qiyun. Yi Tianlong had only cultivated for 10,000 years, but he was already a golden immortal. Even an experienced golden immortal like the Nether Demon Lord was wary of Yi Tianlong. If he went crazy, he would definitely be a complete lunatic. Thank you, fellow Taoist Yi. At this moment, Xian Fifan was still in a state of shock. If not for Yi Tianlong, he would have been killed by Xianju. Yi Tianlong ignored Xian Fifan. However, even though Xian Fifan was ignored, he didn't dare to show any displeasure. Do you think you can take away my things? At this moment, a lazy voice sounded. Master. Heaven Immortal Xianju hurriedly dashed in the direction of the voice. Humph. Yi Tianlong's expression turned cold. He didn't stop Heaven Immortal Xianju. Instead, he looked at a mountain in the ancestral land of the All-World sect and his pupils constricted. There were many supreme immortal artifacts hovering above the mountain and a woman in black was trying her best to collect them. Courting death. Yi Tianlong stretched out his hand and used the hand of heaven again. Rumble. A gigantic palm appeared between heaven and earth once again, slamming down on the mountain that Gu Fei was on. The void that was enveloped by the gigantic palm shattered continuously. This was the might of a golden immortal, capable of shattering heaven and earth with a single strike. The gigantic palm descended from the sky with terrifying destructive power, scaring everyone on the mountain except for Gu Fei. Those with weaker cultivations were already lying on the ground. Gu Fei smiled and casually pointed out with his finger. In the next moment, a gigantic finger appeared between heaven and earth, piercing through the gigantic palm descending from the sky and pressing down on Yi Tianlong. Wherever the finger passed, the void was silently destroyed. What? Yi Tianlong, who was initially looking at Gu Fei with disdain, turned pale with fright. He didn't put Gu Fei and the others in his eyes at all, but now, he realized that their cultivation and battle prowess were not to be underestimated. Bam! With a muffled sound, the genius of the Qingyun Dao sect, Yi Tianlong, was directly sent flying 50 kilometers away by Gu Fei's finger. His body was covered in cracks and his immortal body was almost shattered. Seeing this scene, everyone was astonished, especially the people of the 10 major forces who were in disbelief. The scene was too unreal. Yi Tianlong of the Qingyun Dao sect was actually sent flying by Gu Fei's finger? Even the Nether Demon Lord, Dao Venerate Qingyun, and the others couldn't help but be moved when they saw this. The 10 major forces had joined forces to besiege the All-World sect. It seemed that they had the upper hand and the All-World sect could be destroyed easily, but now, it seemed that everything was still unknown. Damn it! Yi Tianlong glared at Gu Fei, who was on the top of the mountain 50 kilometers away, and clenched the black tortoise seal in his hand. His eyes had already turned bloodshot as if he was possessed. Yi Tianlong's body also emitted an extremely violent wave of power. The cracks on his body were disappearing rapidly and an extremely tyrannical wave of power erupted from his body. His aura was rising continuously. Rumble! The void around Yi Tianlong was constantly vibrating and soon, his aura rose to the peak. Gu Fei, I want you dead! Yi Tianlong roared maniacally and attacked Gu Fei. Is that so? The corners of Gu Fei's lips curled up into a faint smile. He then stretched out his right hand and snapped his fingers. Next, the black tortoise seal in Yi Tianlong's hand, which had just rushed to the top of the mountain, suddenly exploded with a loud boom and the violent power of a golden immortal erupted. A huge black hole suddenly appeared above the top of the mountain. It was a spatial black hole formed by the explosion of the void. The miserable Yi Tianlong was directly blown to pieces by the black tortoise seal and his flesh, tendons, and bones were swept into the spatial black hole. He died immediately. Chapter 4072. Yi Tianlong of the Qingyun Dao sect was a golden immortal, yet he was killed by Gu Fei with a flick of his finger. That shocked everyone to the extreme. How is this possible? Even the big shots of the 10 major forces couldn't help but change their expressions. Golden immortals were nothing in front of the 10 major forces, but no one could kill a golden immortal with a flick of their fingers. Even Dao Lord Qingyun of the Qingyun Dao sect couldn't kill Yi Tianlong with a single move. The combat power that Gu Fei displayed was too strong, and it felt extremely surreal. At this moment, Xian Fifan, who had already retreated far into the sky, was so scared that he wet his pants. The black hole above the ancestral land of the Myriad World sect was rapidly recovering and shrinking. Soon, it disappeared, and the shattered void was completely restored. The destructive power produced by the self-destruction of the black tortoise seal might not have been enough to kill Yi Tianlong, but Yi Tianlong was devoured by the black hole. Hence, he was unlucky. At this moment, even Zhou Ziru, Mo Xiener, and the others were in disbelief. The guy that Gu Fei killed was a golden immortal. Gu Fei's move had indeed stunned many forces. However, in the next moment, several figures appeared outside the ancestral land of the Myriad World sect. 10! Zhou Ziru counted, and her expression immediately became extremely solemn. The 10 powerhouses jumped out at the same time. Are they going to gang up on me? On the mountain where Gu Fei was, everyone except Gu Fei had a change of expression, especially the heaven immortal Xianhua of the Myriad World sect and the others. Their legs even turned to jelly. Are the sect masters and clan masters of the 10 major forces here at the same time? Heaven Immortal Xuanjue, the elder of the Myriad World sect, said with a trembling voice. The power that the 10 powerhouses exuded made him tremble in fear. Among the 10 powerhouses, any one of them could easily kill him. Gu Fei, surrender obediently and we can spare your life. A middle-aged man in fluttering white clothes stepped forward and shouted at Gu Fei. That's right, young man. Don't make a mistake. A purple-robed elder with a long beard nodded and said, You talk too much nonsense. Can't you just capture this little guy? In another direction, a hunchbacked old man said disapprovingly, All talk and no action, you hypocrites. The Lord of the Dark Hell Demon Lord was shrouded in a pitch-black demonic aura. As he spoke, he directly attacked Gu Fei, who was on the mountain top. A pitch-black demonic hand descended from the sky and enveloped the entire mountain top. A terrifying demonic aura spread in all directions. When the other giants saw this, they couldn't help being startled. The Netherworld Devil Lord was extremely domineering, and he would attack at the slightest disagreement. Reckless fool! Gu Fei pointed out with his finger once more. Instantly, a gigantic finger appeared between the heaven and earth, shattering the void and dispersing the demonic hand that was descending from the heavens. What? When the other giants saw this, their faces turned even uglier. One must know that the Dark Hell Demon Lord was a veteran golden immortal. Even Yi Tianlong was no match for him. However, even when Gu Fei was up against the Nether Demon Lord, he still displayed his undefeatable strength. Kill! The Dark Hell Demon Lord roared furiously. A golden immortal grade netherworld energy erupted from his body. The entire heaven and earth seemed to be frozen. However, Gu Fei's energy also erupted. The gigantic finger was like the hand of God, directly shattering the Dark Hell Demon Lord's netherworld energy and sending him flying. Seeing the insufferably arrogant Dark Hell Demon Lord being sent flying by Gu Fei, the other giants were gloating. This guy deserved to be taught a lesson. You bastards, why are you still not attacking? Do you want this guy to defeat us one by one? The Dark Hell Demon Lord roared at the other giants. Gu Fei's strength had far exceeded his expectations. Boom! In the next moment, 5 supreme energy waves erupted from the 5 giants. The 5 giants attacked at the same time, while the other 4 giants were still watching. 1! A heavenly saber rushed out from one of the giants' hands and slashed at Gu Fei. The extremely sharp and overbearing saber energy cut through the void of heaven and earth and instantly landed on the top of the mountain. The other giant wielded a peerless spear and directly rushed to Gu Fei's front. He directly thrust his spear at Gu Fei's glabella. His movement was extremely fast. The other 3 giants also used their killer moves. One of the giants smashed the void with his fists and smashed at Gu Fei. Another used a great mystic art and created a black hole, wanting to devour Gu Fei. The last giant spat out sword light and arrived in front of Gu Fei. The 5 giants attacked at the same time. It was earth-shattering. The mountain that Gu Fei was on shook violently. Everyone on the mountain, except for Gu Fei, was terrified. Scram! Gu Fei sat cross-legged on a boulder and waved his sleeve. The attacks of the 5 giants were immediately disintegrated. The 5 giants were sent flying and vomited blood. Everyone was dumbfounded and couldn't believe their eyes. Those were 5 of the 10 overlords of the Central Celestial Realm. How could they be defeated by Gu Fei with a single move? No one could believe what they saw with their own eyes. The celestial immortals who had been subdued by Gu Fei and had their bodies implanted with restrictive spells turned pale when they saw this. Their master was so powerful. They would probably be his slaves for the rest of their lives. Hand over the world's essence and I will spare your lives. Gu Fei's voice wasn't loud, but it was clearly heard by everyone. Preposterous! The giants were shocked and angry when they heard this. It was absolutely impossible for them to hand over the world's essence. After all, the world's essence was their root. If the root was dug out, even the biggest tree would die. Come at me together. Gu Fei was still sitting cross-legged on the boulder with a carefree look on his face. At this time, the figures of the 10 giants became even more blurry. However, the entire void seemed to be on the verge of exploding. Violent energy waves shook heaven and earth. The 10 giants attacked at the same time. A huge black hole appeared above the mountain where Gu Fei was, and it was expanding rapidly. At this time, Gu Fei raised his right hand and blocked the boundless energy. He had single-handedly blocked the combined attack of the 10 giants. Everyone who saw this scene found it hard to describe how shocked they were. Curse of life and death! Gu Fei shouted. 10 rays of divine light immediately rushed out of his body and entered the bodies of the 10 powerhouses in an instant. What? The 10 giants of the central immortal realm were scared out of their wits. What is that? The 10 giants panicked. The divine light that entered their bodies was definitely not something good. The leaders of the Yu clan and the Feng clan retreated at the same time. The leader of the Black Water clan, on the other hand, attacked Gu Fei without hesitation. The leader of the Black Water clan waved a huge flag in his hand, and the entire space rippled like waves in the ocean. An extremely terrifying aura spread out in all directions. The flag in the leader's hand was the greatest treasure of the Black Water clan, the Holy Water Flag. Die! The corner of Gu Fei's lips curled up, revealing a cold smile. He snapped his fingers. Bam! The leader of the Black Water clan exploded. His primordial spirit shot up into the sky, trying to escape. Humph! You think you can escape? Gu Fei smiled disdainfully. With another snap of his fingers, the patriarch of the Black Water clan was annihilated in both body and soul. The rest of the 9 magnates shuddered in fear when they saw this. Live or die? Choose for yourself. Gu Fei's voice rang out from the mountain peak once more. At this moment, the entire space was so silent that even the sound of a needle dropping on the ground could be heard. Nobody wanted to die. The 9 of them directly lowered their heads to Gu Fei. This was especially so for the Netherworld Devil Lord. He rushed to Gu Fei and knelt before Gu Fei. The arrogant and unexcelled Netherworld Devil Lord seemed to have changed into a different person. Nobody would have thought that this battle would end like this. 9 out of the 10 giants surrendered. As for the one who didn't surrender, he was directly killed by Gu Fei. Gu Fei killing the leader of the Black Water clan was a warning to the others. The Immortal Martial Realm. The 10 strongest powers of the Central Immortal Realms were all subdued by Gu Fei. When this news circulated out, the entire world shook. Nobody would have thought that Gu Fei would be so powerful to this extent. After being struck by Gu Fei's life and death curse, the lives of the 9 giants were no longer in their control. The Xianhua Heavenly Immortal and the others were completely dumbfounded. The 9 giants had all become slaves of their master. Their master was simply too powerful. Even the clan leader of the Long clan had no choice but to lower his head. The people of the Black Water clan were terrified to the extreme. They were afraid that Gu Fei would take revenge on them and annihilate their entire clan. However, Gu Fei didn't make a move. The Black Water clan was a peak existence in the Immortal Martial Realm. But in the eyes of Gu Fei, they were nothing more than ants. He could destroy them with a flick of his finger. Gu Fei! At this moment, a white-haired, white-browed young man suddenly appeared in the void opposite of Gu Fei. The expressions of the 9 giants instantly changed when they saw this person. Dao Lord Qingyun? The Netherworld Devil Lord spoke with great difficulty. The Dao Lord of the Qingyun Dao sect had arrived. The Dao Lord of the Qingyun Dao sect was extremely powerful, but those who had seen him in action before were few in number. He was a super antique who had lived since ancient times. The Dao Lord of the Qingyun Dao sect was definitely a saint-level existence in the past. But now, his cultivation base had fallen by a lot. Do you dare to fight against me? The Dao Lord of the Qingyun Dao sect stared at Gu Fei as he spoke in a low voice. This time, they had lost, and they had lost in an inexplicable manner. The Dao Lord of the Qingyun Dao sect challenged Gu Fei, wanting to decide the outcome with a single battle. Although the Dao Lord of the Qingyun Dao sect was also one of the major powers of the Central Immortal Realms, the sect leader of the Qingyun Dao sect wasn't him, but a junior of his. He didn't cast the life and death curse on Gu Fei. Why not? Chapter 4073. The Azure Cloud Taoist was a supreme antique who had survived the dark ages of the immortal martial realm. He himself was a legend, even stronger than the Flame Monarch. Although the Flame Monarch had also experienced the dark ages, regardless of his cultivation base or fame, he was far inferior to the Azure Cloud Taoist. The Azure Cloud Taoist was one of the few core characters of the immortal martial realm during the dark ages. He was a supreme existence who had the qualifications to participate in the chess game of heaven and earth. The Azure Cloud Taoist was the one who set up the chess game, while the Flame Monarch was merely a chess piece. And now, the Azure Cloud Taoist directly challenged Gu Fei. One must know that if he didn't step out now, Gu Fei would have already unified the immortal martial realm. If Gu Fei unified the immortal martial realm, no one would be able to stop him from obtaining the origin energy of heaven and earth. The origin energy of the immortal martial realm, to the entire immortal martial realm, was directly related to whether or not the immortal martial realm existed. The Azure Cloud Taoist naturally didn't wish to see the immortal martial realm destroyed, causing millions of lives to be lost. Hence, he couldn't allow Gu Fei to obtain the origin energy of heaven and earth. I can fight you, but you'll have to get through them first. Gu Fei waved his hands as the 9 hegemons instantly stepped out, blocking the Azure Cloud Taoist. Although they were unwilling, they had no other choice. The Blackwater clan lord could be killed by Gu Fei with the flick of a finger. The curse Gu Fei placed on them was simply too powerful. Taoist, we have no choice but to do this. The Dragon King helplessly spoke to the Azure Cloud Taoist. Ancestor, why don't we just surrender? The Azure Cloud sect leader also persuaded. The Azure Cloud Taoist was his ancestor. His seniority was the highest in the Azure Cloud Tao sect. Even the sect leader had to listen to him obediently. But now, in order to preserve his life, the Azure Cloud sect leader had no choice but to brace himself and fight against his ancestor. Humph! Tao Master Blue Cloud didn't even look at Blue Cloud sect master. The next moment, everyone only felt as if there was a flash of light in front of them. Then, Blue Cloud sect master's entire body suddenly split in half without warning. The pitiful Azure Cloud sect leader didn't even have the chance to scream before he died. What? When the other giants saw this, they were extremely shocked. Tao Master, you! Dark-held Devil Master stared at Tao Master Qingyun nervously. I'm just cleaning the house, Tao Master Qingyun said indifferently. The foreheads of the 8 giants were sweating. They didn't even see how Tao Master Qingyun attacked. Tao Master Qingyun's attack was too fast. Interesting. Gu Fei, who was sitting on the rock, took out a chair. He was lying on the chair and eating the immortal fruits that Mo Xian brought over. Only he could see through Tao Lord Qingyun. Tao Lord Qingyun actually ignored the distance of space and mastered the power of space-time. This Tao Master Qingyun seems to be very strong. Can your new subordinates do? Mo Xian glanced at Tao Lord Qingyun and said, Won't we know once we fight? Gu Fei said disapprovingly. Tao Lord, please don't make things difficult for us. The master of the Xian family stared at Tao Master Qingyun and said in a deep voice, All of you come at me together! Tao Master Qingyun stood with his hands behind his back. The wind blew his white hair. Kill! Dragon Master was the first to attack. He roared angrily and the golden dragon energy around his body surged. A huge dragon shadow appeared in the sky. The battle spear in his hand turned into a golden dragon and pounced at Tao Master Qingyun. The wind and clouds became chaotic. The moment Dragon Master attacked, the entire sky became extremely unstable as if it could collapse at any time. Roar! The Nether Demon Lord attacked as well. Endless nether demonic energy erupted from his body. A terrifying demonic figure appeared in the sky and slapped towards Tao Master Qingyun. The master of the Xian family, the master of the Nebula Palace, the master of the War God Temple, the master of the Feather Clan, the master of the Wind Clan, and the master of the Shadow Clan also attacked at the same time. The master of the Nebula Palace took out the Decimos star map and attacked down Master Qingyun. The Decimos star map activated the power of the stars in the sky. The power of the stars shook the sky and the earth. It was as if a star region appeared in the sky. It was extremely shocking. The phantom divine blade of the Shadow Clan appeared and disappeared mysteriously. The 6 giants all used their strongest battle strength. It should be known that Tao Master Qingyun was a peerless existence. It was best to kill him in one strike, but this was definitely not an easy task. The 8 giants attacked with all their strength. The sky was directly shattered and even the chaotic energy was hit out. However, the 8 giants were inexplicably shocked because they found that their attacks were completely ineffective, as if they were hitting the air. The 8 giants were so depressed that they almost vomited blood. Today, I will show you what an invincible sword principle is. Tao Master Qingyun's voice came down from the sky. The next moment, buzz! A ray of sword light rushed out of his body and instantly turned into countless sword shadows that slashed down towards the 8 magnates below in an overwhelming manner. The 8 giants quickly activated their fairy weapons to protect themselves. Roar! A ferocious giant dragon rushed out from the golden dragon armor on Dragon Lord's body. The giant dragon soared into the sky and directly charged into the rain of swords. However, the moment the giant golden dragon came into contact with the rain of swords, it let out a mournful cry and was directly slashed by the rain of swords. Countless golden immortal patterns dissipated in the void. The rain of swords directly slashed Dragon Lord down from the sky. The sword shadow slashed at his body, producing a series of clanging sounds. The Netherworld Demon Lord took out a demonic flag and waved it with all his might. Violent demonic energy gushed out, and on top of the demonic flag, a demonic shadow seemed to have come to life, directly rushing out from the demonic flag. Boom! The moment the demonic shadow appeared, the entire sky exploded. Countless swords that fell from the sky shattered. This is... Tao Master Qingyun was shocked. The demonic shadow roared at the sky. The terrifying demonic sound directly shattered the void, its ferocious might shocking the heavens. Countless experts outside the ancestral ground of the Thousand Worlds sect were shocked to the extreme. No one thought that the Nether Demon Lord would have such a move. The other hegemons immediately retreated far away when they saw that the situation was far from good. The demonic shadow that rushed out from the demonic flag directly soared up into the sky and lunged towards Tao Master Qingyun. This demonic shadow had a pair of horns on its head, and its entire body was covered in black scales. It was incomparably malevolent. A pair of devil claws directly slashed towards Tao Master Qingyun. Humph! Merely a remnant soul, yet you still dare to be so impudent in front of this lord? Courting death! Tao Master Qingyun coldly laughed. He opened his mouth and a beam of sword light instantly flew out, directly cleaving the great demonic shadow into 2. Green Cloud Immortal Slaying Sword? The Nether Demon Lord was greatly shocked when he saw this. Tao Master Qingyun was a supreme sword immortal. In the distant past, he relied on a single sword and was unrivaled in the entire immortal martial realm. He even fought against the other masterminds. After being slashed by Tao Master Qingyun's Green Cloud Immortal Slaying Sword, the demonic shadow directly dissipated in the air. A gash appeared on the devil flag in the Nether Demon Lord's hand, as though it was slashed by a divine weapon. The devil flag was instantly half destroyed. The Nether Demon Lord was taken aback. In the next instant, he directly kept the flag in his hand and transformed into a beam of demonic light as he fled. However, Tao Master Qingyun already had his eyes on the Nether Demon Lord. The Green Cloud Immortal Slaying Sword directly slashed towards the Nether Demon Lord with extreme speed. The Nether Demon Lord wanted to dodge, but in the next instant, he only felt the space around him suddenly solidifying. Just as the Nether Demon Lord was about to be slashed by Tao Master Qingyun's sword, the clan leader of the Shadow Clan rushed over. A shadow flashed by. Clang! Chapter 4074. Tao Lord Qingyun was like a supreme sword ancestor descending into the world. His entire being seemed to have transformed into a heavenly sword. From top to bottom, every single pore on his body emitted extremely sharp sword light. Every single sword light was like a supreme heavenly sword. It was hard to imagine what would happen if the sword energy in Tao Lord Qingyun's body erupted. Everything within a radius of 10,000 miles would be annihilated. The ancestral ground of the myriad world sect would naturally cease to exist in an instant. Even the 8 hegemons and the countless experts they brought would die. Only Gu Fei and those under his protection would be able to survive. Damn it! The faces of the 8 hegemons all changed. Tao Lord Qingyun's strength had exceeded everyone's expectations. This fellow was actually stronger than a golden immortal. He was an immortal emperor. The might of an immortal emperor gushed forth in all directions. The sky above the ancestral ground of the myriad world sect changed color as the sun and moon lost their radiance. Boundless spiritual energy of heaven and earth frenziedly gathered towards him. Even the starry sky shone with boundless astral light. Even the astral energy in the starry sky was guided over by Tao Lord Qingyun. You are actually an immortal emperor! The netherworld devil lord had a bitter smile on his face. No wonder the Tao sect could survive for so many years. Not only that, their position as number 1 in the immortal martial realm had never been shaken before. Immortal emperors were definitely the strongest existences in the entire immortal martial realm. Golden immortals were nothing in front of immortal emperors. They could be killed with a single palm. Immortal emperor, to think that there would still be emperors of the immortal Tao in the immortal martial realm. The Dragon Lord's countenance was incomparably heavy. The golden battle dragon armor on his body was completely activated as a towering immortal might erupted from him. In the void, a golden dragon was faintly discernible, emitting a peerlessly powerful energy wave. However, compared to Tao Lord Qingyun, even if the Dragon Lord fully activated his divine armor, it still wouldn't be enough. Because the golden battle dragon armor was only a golden immortal grade immortal weapon. However, a golden dragon scale gradually appeared on the center of the Dragon Lord's brows. The reverse scale of the Dragon Emperor? Tao Lord Qingyun's countenance finally changed. This reverse scale of the Dragon Emperor was extremely powerful. The reason why the Dragon Clan could survive until now was because of this supreme treasure. None of the 10 hegemonic powers in the central immortal realms of the immortal martial realm were easy to antagonize. All of them had their own trump cards and methods. At this time, the Dark Hell Demon Lord's body also emitted a powerful Emperor-level aura. It was a black bone. Wherever it passed, the void cracked and a pitch-black hole appeared. The Dragon Emperor reverse scale on the Dragon Lord's forehead emitted a supreme imperial power that enveloped him. At this moment, the Dragon Lord was like the reincarnation of the Dragon Emperor, his battle strength raised to the limit. Buzz! Tao Master Qingyun shook the immortal slaying sword in his hand. Clang! The immortal slaying sword in Tao Master Qingyun's hand directly chopped the divine light that pierced through the void. In the next moment, the divine light was cut in half and directly shattered in the void. A fairy weapon of the golden immortal level could not withstand a blow from the immortal slaying sword. However, a golden fist fiercely hit the immortal slaying sword. The two figures separated in an instant, and violent sword chi erupted in all directions. Countless pitch-black spatial cracks appeared in the void. One sword severing the universe! Tao Master Qingyun roared, and the Qingyun immortal slaying sword in his hand emitted an unprecedented wave of sword chi. The divine sword turned into an immortal sword light and directly flew towards Master Dragon and the other leaders. One move to kill the 8 powerhouses. This move could swallow mountains and rivers. This move could cut through the universe. Without any suspense, the 8 powerhouses were instantly blasted away. Boom! The Dragon Lord directly smashed into the mountain where Gu Fei was. The entire mountain cracked and was about to collapse in the void. Gu Fei stepped with his right foot and directly stabilized the entire mountain. Can't withstand a single blow. Tao Master Qingyun was insufferably arrogant. He was an immortal emperor, an invincible immortal emperor. How could these guys fight against him with an immortal emperor Tao weapon? Preposterous! The Dragon Lord rushed out of the mountain. He was shocked and angry. He looked down and saw that the golden battle dragon divine sword on his body was covered with cracks and almost shattered. If it was not for the protection of the Dragon Emperor reverse scale, he would have been killed by Tao Master Qingyun. Interesting. Don't destroy this place. You guys should fight in the starry sky, Gu Fei said indifferently. All right. After saying that, Tao Master Green Cloud turned into a sword light and rushed into the starry sky. Chapter 4075. Tao Master Qingyun didn't want to return to the ancestral land of the Myriad World Sect. There were countless cultivators of the human clan in the ancestral land of the Myriad World Sect. If the ancestral land of the Myriad World Sect was destroyed, many would die. Swoosh! Tao Master Qingyun's mythical sword light soared into the sky and rushed into the starry sky. Where do you think you're going? Lord Dragon roared and turned into a golden dragon. He soared into the sky from the mountain peak and rushed into the starry sky. The scene was extremely shocking. Humph! The dark hell demon lord sneered and took a step forward, directly entering the starry sky. His speed was much faster than the dragon lord's heavenly dragon escape. The 8 magnates rushed into the starry sky. Kill! The clan lord of the Feng clan swung his fan at Tao Master Qingyun with all his might. In the next moment, all the stars in front of him exploded. The entire starry sky trembled and the void was silently annihilated. The power of the sky-flipping fan was too powerful. If an ordinary person was hit by the sky-flipping fan, his body and soul would be completely destroyed. However, Tao Master Qingyun stood in the void with his hands clasped behind his back. The power of the Feng clan lord's fan only caused his clothes to flutter a few times. What? The clan lord of the Feng clan was shocked. This was the extreme emperor immortal weapon, the sky-flipping fan. Even an ordinary immortal emperor wouldn't dare to face it head-on. However, Tao Master Qingyun had casually received the fan. Dong! Just at this moment, as the sound of the drum rang out, the entire world trembled. Tao Master Qingyun looked like he was drunk. His body swayed and he almost fell from the starry sky. Swoosh! A flame flashed and Tao Master Qingyun's clothes were burned to ashes, revealing his muscular upper body. There was a bloody mark on his chest, and the bloody mark was quickly disappearing. In just an instant, the bloody mark disappeared as if it had never been there. Preposterous! Tao Master Qingyun was angry. He was actually injured by these ants. Kill! Without any hesitation, Tao Master Qingyun attacked angrily. The divine sword in his hand suddenly disappeared, disappearing without a trace. Formless swords? When the 8 leaders saw this, they hurriedly activated their Emperor Tao artifacts to protect themselves. Clang! The sound of metal colliding rang out as the 8 leaders were sent flying again. This time, they all coughed up blood at the same time. They had received quite a bit of impact. Cutting heaven and earth with one sword! Tao Lord Qingyun held the Qingyun Immortal Slaying Sword in his hand and used this move again. The Shadow Clan leader was directly sliced in half. Even his primordial spirit could not escape. The Shadow Clan Patriarch's Divine Void Saber had been stolen by Tao Master Qingyun. Without the Divine Void Saber to protect him, the Shadow Clan Patriarch became the weakest of the 8 magnates. The Shadow Clan Patriarch had fallen. This made the other magnates tremble with fear. Too strong. A giant was born. Nebula Palace's Decimos star map enveloped the surroundings, enveloping Tao Lord Qingyun within it. Endless power of the stars frantically converged towards the Decimos star map. It was as if all the power of the stars in the starry sky was being guided by the Decimos star map. Kill! 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 The other giants roared and attacked. Terrifying energy waves erupted. Sky-flipping fan, Decimos star map, sky-shaking war drum, vermilion bird plume, devil emperor true bone, dragon emperor reverse scale and Xian family's heaven-stabilizing divine pearl. All the Tao treasures of Ultimate Emperor flew up and exploded with the terrifying power of an immortal emperor. The combined attack of the 7 giants caused the entire starry sky to explode. The area where Dao Lord Qingyun was located turned into a black hole. The surrounding area of 100,000 li was directly pierced through. Dao Lord Qingyun was directly sent into the depths of the primordial chaos by this attack. This, on the peak of the ancestral land of Myriad World Sect, Gu Fei used the mystic light water mirror art. The scene of the battle in the starry sky appeared on the mirror. He won? Mo Xian exclaimed. She never thought that Dao Lord Qingyun was strong enough to force the other magnates to use their immortal Emperor Dao treasures. It's hard to say, Gu Fei said indifferently. It wasn't easy to determine the outcome of a battle of this level. Sure enough, Dao Lord Qingyun broke through the primordial chaos and rushed back. As soon as he came out, he attacked the 7 giants. At this time, his entire body was engulfed in extremely sharp sword light. The 7 giants joined forces and fought against Dao Lord Qingyun. The sky turned dark and the earth turned dark. Violent energy spread out, causing damage to the surroundings. Dao Lord Qingyun continuously sent the 7 giants flying. Roar! At this time, a dragon's roar was heard. The Dragon Emperor reverse scale on Dragon Lord's forehead moved. The scale turned into golden energy and poured into his body. Dragon Lord's physique rapidly grew stronger. Roar! Dragon Lord roared towards the sky. At this moment, he felt that his whole body was filled with power. It was as though he could shatter the void with a single punch. The man of Long family swung his fist at Dao Lord Qingyun. His fist collided with Dao Lord Qingyun's sword chi, producing a series of clanging sounds. Bang! Dragon Lord's fist landed on Dao Lord Qingyun's left shoulder. In the next moment, the sound of bones breaking came from Dao Lord Qingyun's body. However, at the moment when Dragon Lord's fist landed on Dao Lord Qingyun's left shoulder, Dao Lord Qingyun's sword had already pierced Dragon Lord. The Qingyun Immortal's slaying sword pierced through Dragon Lord's body and came out from his back. Damn it! Dao Lord Qingyun's right hand that was holding the Qingyun Immortal's slaying sword shook violently. He wanted to shatter Dragon Lord's body. However, the Dragon Lord's body was protected by the Dragon Emperor's reverse scale. Dao Master Qingyun's attack failed to shatter the Dragon Lord's body. Instead, the Dragon Lord's body caught the divine sword and he could not pull it back. What? Dao Lord Qingyun was shocked. At this time, the Immortal Emperor Grade Immortal Artifact kept bombarding him. This made it difficult for him to deal with it. He was directly sent flying by the sky-flipping fan. Dong! The sky-shaking war drum sounded. Dao Lord Qingyun spat out a mouthful of blood. This was only the second beat of the war drum. No one had ever been able to withstand 9 beats of the war drum. Usually, those guys would die after 4 or 5 beats. Boom! The Decimos star map of Nebula Palace emitted a terrifying energy fluctuation and directly suppressed Dao Lord Qingyun. Seeing this scene, Mo Xian and the others were dumbfounded. The 7 magnates were powerful. They could actually defeat Dao Lord Qingyun. This was definitely a good thing for them. Dao Lord Qingyun seems to have an undeserved reputation,